See, a boat swung through the waves, and inside it, a man screamed, "Ah, Yan Qingqing, you have been squeezing me for 100 years, he screams, as a woman held a chain in her hand, hovering over that man. The chain was connected to the man's neck as she also held his neck, and he thought, my name is Jiang Han. I was originally an Earth's Special Forces soldier who had been pulled into this world, and the woman who was riding on me, as that woman said, Humph, it is just a mortal body, although you have the soul of primordial chaos, but ultimately, you are an ant, as her one hand held the chain and the other glowed with power in it. Jiang Han thought, the first goddess in the cultivation world, the queen of Luotian Palace, this woman who has made me a slave for 100 years, as that woman spoke, if you had given your soul origin to me earlier, why would I have had to do seed cultivation with you? However, after today I will break through and give you freedom, as she laughed, and Jiang Han gritted his teeth in pain and said, bullshit. You think I do not know that you are going to devour my soul and kill me, freedom, where is my freedom? As that woman said, oh what, this world is where the strong are respected, not enough, let us do it again, as she lay down beside him. Jiang Han said again, as he thought, no, I will really be dead if she does it again, I have to find a way to escape. As they both kissed each other, and Jiang Han parted away, licked his lips and said, Yan Qingqing, because of your good figure and beauty, if you let go of my shackles I, Jiang Han, am willing to dedicate the soul origin and do dual cultivation with you. As Yan Qingqing got angry and said, shut up. As she again tightened her grip on the chain, and grabbed his neck again and said, mere ants are also delusional and want to stand on the ground against the emperor. This emperor will kill you now. As Jiang Han said with a smirk, Yan Qingqing, do you want to dual cultivate with the soul of primordial chaos? I have endured it for 100 years, now I want to take the initiative. Do you want to give up this opportunity? As Yan Qingqing's eyes widened and she thought, 100 years. Even if I forcefully seize it, the possibility of becoming the true soul of primordial chaos is very low. If he abandons the origin of his soul, he can not only escape easily but also cultivate the three spirit gods' 7 secrets of soul lives at the same time. It means that when it comes to spiritual cultivation and perception, it will be dozens of times higher than others. The soul of primordial chaos is too important. As she left his neck and chain, he got up while coughing, as she said, well, it is okay, let go of your shackles, but if you dare to touch me with your dirty hands or use mean tricks, I will kill you. As she grabbed the chain and touched her other hand fingers on the chain with her magic, the chain broke and was removed from Jiang Han's neck too, as he looked at her silently and thought, really this stinky woman is really ruthless. Yan Qingqing turned around while at the back he saw her in anger while his power activated in his hand as he thought, if I do not fight now, I will be dead, as he readied his hand for attack. The voice of power made Yan Qingqing's eyes widen as he launched his power on her back. She fell forward from the bed where they were laying as Jiang Han got pushed backward and hit the wall because of the power's strength. The bed also broke, as Yan Qingqing said in anger, how could you secretly cultivate soul-shattering art? As Jiang Han on the floor near the door opened it saying, ha 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 Yan Qingqing, 100 years of slavery. Although the beginning was cool, but anyone who has been bullied for 100 years will feel resentful, so I always wanted to escape. For 100 years I have been accumulating my soul power for this moment. As Yan Qingqing stood there listening to him, her back burned by Jiang Han's power, steam rising from it, she became increasingly furious, her power starting to activate. Seeing Yan Qingqing in her full power, Jiang Han began running toward the door, glancing back and thinking, her rainbow palm may cause serious injuries, I have to escape quickly. Yan Qingqing shouted, you want to kill me just by your soul cultivation, aren't you too full of yourself? As Jiang Han ran, he looked back at her and thought, I need to hurry. In a flash, Yan Qingqing caught him by his shoulder, and he screamed loudly, his soul manifesting in different expressions as she said, want to escape, dream on. He felt scared and confused, thinking, this is probably the last chance I have to escape from her, as she used her power and threw Jiang Han into the sea with full force, declaring, you must die. However, just as he was about to plunge into the water, a portal opened, and he was sucked into it. Yan Qingqing sat on the boat floor, watching this unfold, her anger boiling over as she exclaimed, damn it, Jiang Han was so ruthless he cut off his soul and escaped. From within the portal, Jiang Han screamed, Yan Qingqing, I will be back sooner or later. When I come, I will make you surrender at my feet and be a slave for thousands of years. Yan Qingqing bit her lips so hard that blood began to flow, and she screamed from the depths of her heart, loud enough to make all the birds fly away. Jiang Han, even if you flee to the end of the world, this emperor will find you. I swear if I do not kill you, I will not ascend to the higher realm. The scene shifted to Tangwu continent, where birds flew in the air as a man lying on the grass suddenly opened his eyes. It was Jiang Han. He got up, looking at himself and saying, hey, did I escape? These are my body parts, haha. He stood up happily, laughing, finally I escaped from the devil's claw, then I will fly high into the sky to suppress Yan Qingqing. From behind, a beautiful woman said, are you alive? As he turned to look back. The woman, seeing him, thought in anger, I clearly mixed poison in the elixir and gave it to him. Even the master realm cannot resist that. How could Jiang Han survive? Jiang Han looked at her with a confused and irritated expression, realizing that the owner of this body was also named Jiang Han and had loved Li Yaowe since childhood. But due to his low talent, he had never been taken seriously. A month ago, Li Yaowe had suddenly given Jiang Han some attention and instigated him to steal his family's medicine and martial book. However, just now, the ghost of Jiang Han had stolen the oil and martial book for Li Yaowe, but he did not expect her to secretly poison him to death. He thought, let us not talk about this boring story, but why the hell is he in love with this woman? He placed his hand on his head in frustration as Li Yaowe activated her power, saying to him, since you are not dead, I can only do it myself. Jiang Han saw her as that woman said, secrets cannot be revealed, Otherwise my reputation will be ruined, Jiang Han. If you love me then this is the last thing you do for me. He replied in anger, what, Li Yaoe, you are really shameless. Do you think you can maintain your reputation by killing me? He thought, what a shameless woman. Jiang Han the dead ghost did not even know he died by the hands of the woman he loved. Just then, a man stepped forward saying, Yaoe, I told you to kill him directly, as he held Li Yaoe in his embrace and added, but you are too kind, it is better to tell him directly that you will be the fiancé of Jiang Han and that you never loved him. Li Yaoe responded, it seems that I am too soft-hearted, then I will listen to brother Jiang. As they both spoke with a villainous tone, die. As they looked forward, Jiang Han took off running, and Jiang shouted, no, he ran away. Li Yaoe urged, quickly chase him, he cannot run too far, as Jiang drew his sword. The scene changed to Jiang Han, who was sprinting through the jungle, breathing heavily. He stopped in front of a tree, holding onto it to balance himself, taking a deep breath and saying, fortunately, I was clear that Li Yaoe and Jiang Han have colluded in secret for a long time. He reflected on how he did not know what the ghost Jiang Han felt after hearing this. But he realized that this body was too weak and would definitely be caught in from behind. Lin Yaoe and Jiang Han approached him. Jiang sneered, a second-grade waste also wants to escape from our hands. Wishful thinking. Jiang Han looked back and felt a surge of fear, and from the front, a horse came galloping toward him. He looked forward just in time to see the horse come near, jumping on its legs, leaving him confused. The rider on the horse held the reins tightly and handled the animal perfectly, and Jiang Han thought, it is hard to be reborn again, do the heavens not want me to succeed? The rider was a beautiful woman, and as the horse knelt down on the ground, Jiang Han fell to the earth, staring at her in silence. The woman asked, what are you doing, looking for death, as Jiang Han gazed at her, thinking, beautiful. Just then, Jiang came up behind him, holding his sword and shouting, there he is. Jiang looked at the woman in front of him, confusion etched on his face, as Lin Yaoe and Jiang Han also halted, their expressions mirroring his as they said in unison, Yan Rishue. Yan Rishue said, what are you doing? Don't you know that fighting is prohibited in Piaoshu's city? As Jiang said, Miss Yan, this person is the traitor of the Jiang family. We were about to arrest him and take him back for punishment for stealing the pills and martial book. Lin Yaoe also standing behind Jiang as Jiang thinks it is said that Yan Rishue is selfless and strictly enforces law. Today the rumor seems to be true. As Yan Rishue said with concern stealing, as Jiang Han was standing behind Yan Rishue's horse while Jiang pointed at him telling Yan Rishue that right this person is Jiang Han. He betrayed the Jiang family for his own selfish desire. Bastards, this couple of dogs are trying to get rid of me by any means. As Yan Rishue looked at Jiang Han at the back and said, are you that infamous Jiang Han? Jiang's mouth got open in shock as Yan Rishue said the Jiang family has already dispatched personnel and is about to take you back to Jiang family for severe punishment. As Jiang Han said, Jiang Han, you are a waste, bullying and destroying your ancestors. As Jiang Han screamed, you are so cruel. Knowing that I'm stupid, you used my love for Lin Yaoe to trick me into stealing my Jiang family's pills. As his eyes got teary as he said, but just when I took all the pills and martial book and delivered them to Lin Yaoe, while tearing he said, I discovered that you two were plotting behind my back. It doesn't matter if I am wrong because I will rot this matter in my stomach. But, Yaoe, why you? As Yan Rishue looked at him, while Jiang Han and Lin Yaoe stared at him in anger as Jiang Han continued saying, now you got what you wanted, you kicked me away and even wanted to kill me. As Jiang Han ran to attack Jiang with sword saying the traitor and villain Jiang Han will not have to quibble again to prove that I and Lin Yaoe are wrong. As Jiang Han shouted, adulterer and adulteress. You dare to be presumptuous when Miss Yan is here, don't you pay attention to Yan family? The lord of Piaoshu's city. As Jiang Han's sword was going to touch Jiang Han's body, Yan Rishue got in between, grabbed his sword to stop and said, I think this person should be brought back to Jiang family. Now truth will be decided by Jiang family. As Jiang Han seeing sword too much near him thinks so close, this dog almost killed me. This Hingwa is really a stupid pig. He knew that private fights are forbidden but he rushed to kill me. As Yan Rishue looked at Jiang Han who said, I heard his royal Highness wanted to get married with Miss Yan and my elder brother is confidant of his highness. He said with smirk, well we will all work for the emperor in future, and we hope that Miss Yan will not interfere in this matter. As Yan Rishue stayed silent while from the back Jiang Han showing his middle finger to Jiang Han, and said, what son of bitch, your highness, Miss Yan who is so beautiful to us is not even worthy of getting married. I think your Jiang family is so bad, it sounds like this. Prefecture is not a good thing. As Jiang Han and Lin Yaoe got angered readying their power to attack as Jiang Han said, Jiang Han you son of bitch, Yaoe kill him. Yan Rishue activated her powers that brought her powerful sword in her hands making everyone close their eyes because her power flash was too much. Lin Yaoe said, Tong my realm, as she thought we are about the same age and I'm already so strong, I'm so frustrated. As Jiang Han said, damn bitch, as Lin Yaoe got confused Jiang Han. From the back of Yan Rishue said with attitude, come here, come and kill me. As listening this Lin Yaoe got angered and was going to activate power to kill Jiang Han, but Jiang Han stopped her and said, I didn't expect that at this age she would break through to Tong Mai. But Miss Yan really wanted to protect Jiang Han. Our Jiang family is working for the county government. As Yan Rishue said in loud voice, get out. As Lin Yaoe and Jiang Han got scared while Jiang Han stared at them as Jiang Han pointed his sword at them. Well that's all, it's the Yan family face today that I will not kill him for the time being. Jiang Han remember me, don't let me catch you in future. I will make your life a living hell. As he thinks if I really offend Yan Rishue today and when she becomes the wife of the prince, my Jiang family can't bear it. As Lin Yaoe and Jiang Han left from there as Jiang Han said, Yaoe let's go. As Lin Yaoe looked back at Jiang Han who was making funny faces saying to them, if you two go, you can never be able to kill me. As he suddenly got confused when Yan Rishue put her sword on his neck as she said, you'll follow me to the Jiang family. If you really were framed you will be safe. As Jiang Han thought, even if it is found out that I was framed in the future, the Jiang family will not forgive me for stealing. As he said, don't worry, anyway I have a way so that you don't have to marry that prince. As she got confused and asked what's the solution. The scene started in the city lord's mansion, where a man slammed his hand on the table as a cup of tea spilled over and said, "What, you want to marry him?" An old man sitting there said, "I disagree. That boy is not only a waste but also notorious, which makes him unworthy of you." Yan Ruxue and another woman were standing in front of him, while that woman asked, "Yan Ruxue, daughter, marriage is a lifelong event. Do not wrong yourself for the current matter." Jiang Han was secretly watching them from behind the door, and upon listening to this, he smirked and said, "Unexpectedly, she came to see her parents so soon." Yan Ruxue said, "Father, mother, now the county government has sent troops for marriage and will arrive in Piaoshua's city in 3 days. Nowadays, only a man can refuse to get married. If I refuse directly, it will give the county government a reason to send troops. Then it will be too late." Her father noticed Jiang Han hiding at the door and screamed, saying, "But who is he? This useless martial trash." Jiang Han became angry, while Yan Ruxue, seeing him, thought, "Are you kidding me?" The scene shifted to where they both met, as she pointed a sword at his neck and said, "Get married to you? In your dreams?" Jiang Han said, "Why? Do you dislike my face, or maybe I have a bad reputation?" She stayed silent, then said, "It is a good idea to hire a son-in-law, but like you, we are all over the streets of Piaoshua's city. Why should I choose you?" As with her power, her sword started to vanish, while Jiang Han said, "It just happened to be me." He sat on the ground, saying, "I am such a stupid and stinking trash who enters your city lord's mansion. What does the world think?" As she looked at him, he said, "How could he lower his noble status to blatantly send troops to rob a woman of a wasteful son-in-law? If this spreads out, not only the royal family but also 3-year-old children can laugh off their teeth." Yan Ruxue said, "Even so, afterwards, Piaoshua's city will become the thorn in the eyes of the prince, and he will not spare our Yan family in the future." Jiang Han said, "The best way to eliminate fears is to face them. Do not worry. As long as they do not send troops directly, I have my own way to deal with it." He thought, "My words are so manly," while Yan Ruxue thought, "Now, if I want to get rid of this marriage, it is really the only way. It has been spread that His Highness has proposed marriage. Who is willing to risk offending the prince?" She closed her eyes and then opened them, saying, "So." The scene returned to her standing in front of her father and mother, saying, "I am not going back." Her father, in anger, said, stubborn as always, "Being a father, I really cannot bear for you to marry Jiang Han, that waste he is." Yan Ruxue said, "No problem. The county mansion is ambitious. If I marry him, then Piaoshua's city, as a major military site in the north and south, will be bound to be swallowed by the county government." She thought, "As long as I can save my Yan family and keep the city safe, what does my personal life matter, besides my body?" Jiang Han stood there silently, listening, and thought, "I thought I had found a beautiful wife, but I did not expect it to turn out to be this." Yan Ruxue's father put his hand on his head and thought, "The son-in-law can indeed be able to keep Piaoshua's city temporarily. Even if the Yan family later becomes a thorn in His Highness's eye, as long as he does not have an excuse to send troops directly, he cannot do anything to us. After all, my city lord's mansion is not an easy target." He saw Jiang Han in anger and thought, but as Jiang Han stepped inside, saying, "Son-in-law pays respects to my father-in-law. Father-in-law, rest assured that this junior will take care of her in every possible way. Whoever dares to piss her off, I will make him restless. If anyone dares to hurt her, I will slaughter his family." Her father grew more angry and said, "Hump, if Yan Ruxue suffers the slightest grievance from you, do not blame me for being rude to you." Yan Ruxue's father went outside as a lot of people bowed to them, saying, "City Lord," as Yan Ruxue's father screamed, "Tomorrow is a big event. My daughter's wedding will be in the city's main palace. Even if it is rushed, it cannot be hasty." All the people said yes. The scene started with Jiang Han taking a bath and praying while his power activated. At this time, Jiang Han took 6 third-grade body oils in succession and absorbed them quickly using Xian Huang Zahua Ju. As he thought, "I possess the soul of the primordial chaos, the 3 souls and 7 spirits. I can practice the 3-spirit god technique and the 7 secrets of soul. And those 3 souls mean that I can do 3 things with one mind and have a faster training speed." As he opened his eyes with a spark, water splashed out as all the curtains moved loudly. He said happily that the 2nd rank Qi gathering cultivation base is really too low, and now it is only the 6th rank Qi gathering realm. It is still a bit slow. However, it is also rare that a small city lord's mansion has such a rich medicinal hot spring. As a servant girl came and saw him, she hid her face and said, "Uncle, please put on your clothes quickly," as she thought, well, the water is too dirty. No wonder he is taking time. As Jiang Han looked at her, he asked, "Did you bring clothes for me?" As the maid Xianga said, "Uncle, do not talk big. When you came, you occupied the special soul pool of Mississippi. Your wedding is coming soon, are you not married?" As Jiang Han said, "Give me some time to get ready." As the maid said, "Although the wedding is in a hurry, all the dignified people in the city will be invited to give their blessings. You cannot delay it further. I am afraid it is more than blessings." Jiang Han wore his clothes as the maid and Jiang Han walked together. As he said, "I am curious how far this good show will go." As he thought, at present, in addition to self-protection, the most important thing is to improve strength as soon as possible before Yan Qiqing finds me. Tianwu is a subcontinent of Tianling and the concentration of aura is much lower. There are 7 levels of cultivation: Qi Gathering, Tongmai Master, Grand Master, Wuhou, Saint, and Extreme. Each level is divided into 9 grades and only by breaking through the martial arts peak can it be possible to enter the innate realm, and begin to practice the Changxing Avenue. And Yan Qingqing already stood at the top of Changxing Avenue. As he nervously said, the gap is too big. As he thought, the original idiot had offended his family, and now I can only rely on the city lord's mansion. The next day in the mansion, inside, all the people were sitting and dining, eating and enjoying, all nosy there as some people talked to each other. Why is it so sudden? Another one said, who is the son-in-law, does anyone know? As someone replied, no news at all. As Jiang Han and his father bowed to Lin Yaowei and her father and said, Brother Lin, you came so early. Lin Yaowei is getting more and more beautiful. As Lin Yaoyuan's father Lin Changyuan said, how can I not come if the city lord's daughter is getting married? As Lin Yaowei said, thank you, Uncle Zhang. As Jiang Han said, to be able to marry Yaowei is indeed a blessing. Some people want to eat swan meat. I cannot let that happen. As Jiang Han's father Zhong Gozhu led them and as they showed the empty dining area, pointed there, saying, I am afraid it is embarrassing to be here today. Because of Jiang Han yesterday, the Jiang family became a joke in the whole city. Do you think they still have the face to attend the wedding today? As they all sat at the dining table where Lin Yaowei said, I do not know who the bridegroom is today. Is he the elder son of the county government? As someone said, impossible, he is still on the way and it is even impossible to attend the wedding. As Jiang Han's father said, I am afraid the city lord is trying to avoid the marriage. It is really a shame. Will it be Zhaoan? As Lin Yaoyuan's father said, maybe, I have heard that Zhaoan and Yan Rushue are best friends. As Jiang Han said, the county prince had also drawn him before, but he was willing to stay in Kaoshua's city for Yan Rushue and be the city leader. As Lin Yaoyuan's father said, this Zhaoan is a ruthless character. With the support of the Zhao family behind him, he must be a strong enemy in the future. As Jiang Han's father said, he is a ruthless character, but this Zhaoan has wild ambitions, and I am afraid that the Yan family is inviting a wolf into their family. As outside the mansion someone screamed, get out here. Who dares to stop me? As someone made some people fall to the ground with his power, as Lin Yaowei and Jiang Han and their fathers got stopped and shocked because of the voice that came from outside. It was Zhaoan, who said, I want to see Yan Rushue. In anger he said, today I want to see who is more suitable to be the son-in-law of the Yan family than Zhaoan. As people around him silently listened, Jiang Han, Lin Yaowei, and their fathers came out. Seeing Zhaoan, they got shocked and said, Zhaoan is here, then who is the bridegroom? As Zhaoan fought with the people who were stopping him, he said, get out of here if you want to live. As someone screamed, stop. As Zhaoan looked at the direction from where the voice came, it was Lord Yan Rishue's father and mother. Yan Rishue's father said in anger, what do you want to do? Why do you want to kill my people? As Zhao bowed at him and said, I pay respect to uncle and aunt. Honor does not understand why Rishue is getting married suddenly. As Yan Rishue's mother and father remained silent, her father said, Honor, your sister met her lover. This is your sister's decision. You and she are not fated to be together. As Zhao asked, not fated? In anger he said, why am I, Zhaoan, willing to be the leader of the city guard? Do you not know? In this city, except for me, Zhaoan, who can be worthy of Yan Rishue? As he signaled with his hand, all his soldiers came in a second. As he said, I do not believe it. I want her to tell me who is her lover. As all soldiers came behind Zhaoan, he said, if aunt and uncle insist on blocking, Zhaoan can only break through. As someone stepped there and made Zhao An's eyes widen, it was Yan Rishue. As she looked so beautiful, seeing her in her wedding suit, everyone's heart stopped as she said, Cousin Zhaoan, go back. I already have someone in my heart. As Zhaoan looked at her in shock and said, no, impossible. How can you like someone else when you are staying with me all the time? You must be lying to me. If you want to get married, you will only choose me, right? As Yan Rishue said, I did not lie to you. Today is a big day of my life. If cousin is here to give blessings, I am grateful. If not, then I can only ask cousin to go back. As Zhao got angry and shouted, you are the woman I love. I will get you anyway. As Yan Rishue said, egoistic. Come, send Zhaoan back to the barracks. This is a military order. She also screamed when Zhao's soldiers became ready to attack. When Zhaoan signaled them to stop, he pointed his finger at Yan Rishue and said, who dares to touch me? I stayed in Yan's house for you. Now you want to marry someone else. Do you think I will still obey your orders? You, the Zhao family is powerful, he said this to Yan Rishue's parents. As her father saw him in anger, Zhao shouted, today I am going to see which bastard dares to rob Zhao An's woman. Come out and fight with me. As people stood there, seeing the fight, while people there gossiped, I think the Yan family is faking. There is really no bridegroom. It is foolish not to come out, right? As from the back someone said, who is shouting here? Do you not know today is a big day? Everyone looked at the direction from where the voice came. It was Jiang Han, yawning in a groom's dress. He said, I could not sleep well because you are making too much noise. As he said with a smirk, what should I do if it affects my performance at night? As Jiang Han walked toward where Zhaoan and Yan Rishue stood, Zhao looked at him in shock while Jiang Han's eyes widened as if they were about to burst, and he muttered to himself, how is he even possibly better than me? Zhao exclaimed, Jiang Han, why is that waist in a wedding dress? As Yan Rishue's father shouted, why are you coming out? Get back, saying this directly to Jiang Han while the crowd around them stared in disbelief, murmuring among themselves, is it really him, the Yan's son-in-law? Yan Rishue, concerned, called out softly, Jiang Han, please go back, do not cause unnecessary trouble here. Jiang Han smiled faintly and replied, you figured it out, but I do not know why this dog is barking, it is too noisy. Turning to Zhao, he added coldly, remember I do not care which family you are from, in an hour I will be the son-in-law of the city lord. When I meet you at the city gate do not forget to kowtow to this master. Zhao stepped forward so hard that the floor beneath him cracked. his voice thunderous with fury as he said, "Are you worthy? Now get out of the Yan's mansion or I will personally send you off." Jiang Han looked at him carefully, silently observing the murderous aura emanating from Zhao's body as Yan Rishua's parents grew panicked. Her father gritted his teeth and whispered, "Damn it, this waste came out to embarrass my Yan family," while her mother screamed, "And her weight." Just as Zhao charged forward to punch Jiang Han, Yan Rishua moved swiftly, summoning her sword with a surge of divine power, and blocked his strike with the blade. The force of the punch met the sword with a sharp clash, making Zhao confused and halting him for a moment. Yan Rishua stood in front of Jiang Han and declared in a firm voice, "From today he will be my husband. If he lives I will live, if he dies I will die. If you want to touch him you will have to pass me first." Zhao's anger escalated, his voice shaking with disbelief as he screamed, "How dare you draw your sword for him? I must kill him today." Jiang Han gently stepped forward to stand before Yan Rishua and said calmly, "Let me do it." Yan Rishua's eyes trembled as she whispered, "You cannot." Jiang Han replied, "Do not say I cannot, just trust me." He thought to himself, "Since you can do this much for me, I, Jiang Han, will protect you with my life and never let you suffer any harm." Looking at Zhao, he spoke again, "Since you like Yan Rishua so much, dare to make a 3-part bet with me." Zhao narrowed his eyes and asked, "Bet on what?" Jiang Han grinned and said, "Money, dignity, and life." Zhao's brows furrowed as he repeated, "Dignity." Jiang Han smirked, "If you lose you cannot say a word and cannot touch anything again. Are you afraid?" As Yan Rishua and her parents watched nervously, Zhao finally said, "Bet, tell me how you want to bet." Jiang Han replied, "Since the bet is set by me, I will let you choose what you are good at." Zhao chuckled with mockery and said, "You let me choose, in that case I will bet on military formation, archery, and strength." Jiang Han scoffed and muttered, "Shameless, Jiang Han is doomed. Zhao Han has been in the army for more than 10 years. These are his strongest areas." Lin Yaowe listened silently and smiled, while Jiang Han thought to himself with relief, "Fortunately I got rid of this waste early, or I would be the one embarrassed today." As Zhao took out a small pouch and placed it on the table, he said, "Let us start now. In the first round I bet 10,000 gold coins. Do you have any?" Jiang Han shrugged and said, "It costs a lot of money to marry the city lord's daughter. I do not have any." Yan Rishua's father barked, "What money did you spend? It is all my doing." Unfazed, Jiang Han took out a wooden box filled with glowing golden pills and said, "However, I happen to have 7 third-class yuan dan, each worth more than 10,000 gold coins. I will just bet these. But brother Zhao, is your money not a bit too little?" Jiang Han, his father, and Lin Yaowe all widened their eyes as Jiang Han exclaimed, "How could he have such a good thing? 7 of them. There is no such precious medicine even in the city lord's mansion." His father muttered, "Spendthrift, do not gamble that." Zhao stared at the yuan dan in disbelief and thought, "With these pills one can break through into the Tongmai realm. 70,000 gold coins. This is the annual tax of all Piaoshu's city." Jiang Han said, "Forget it. Betting alone is no fun. Anyone who wants to participate can join." In the crowd someone whispered, "Is there really such a good opportunity? Jiang Han is a waste. Do not let this chance slip away." Yan Rishua's father blurted, "I want to bet," as her mother screamed, "Do you want your son-in-law to win or lose, shameless?" Her father paused, then glanced at the pills and thought, "This son-in-law may be useless but those yuan dan are not." Jiang Heng's father loudly declared, "The Zhang family bets 20,000 gold coins on Zhao and to win," and Lin Yaoyue's father followed, "The Lin family also bets 20,000 on Zhao," and Jiang Han looked at them and thought, "So positive," as Jiang Heng, Lin Yaowe, and their father smirked at him. Jiang Han said, "The two of you know Jiang Han best, you have seen the changes." Inside the mansion, as Jiang Han sat at a table speaking with someone, a man from another table stood up and announced, "Piaoshua Hall, the Hall of Commerce, bets 10,000 gold coins." Jiang Han replied, "It is not enough. Is there anyone else who wants to participate? We still need another 10,000. Jiang Heng called out, "The Zhang family adds another 10,000. His father turned pale and grabbed his collar, shouting, "What are you doing? 30,000 gold coins. That is our entire reserve." Jiang Heng nervously replied, "Daddy, do not worry. How good can this Jiang Han be? He will not win. If we get one more pill, what will the Yan family even be?" Jiang Han glanced at them and asked, "What are you muttering about? Is the bet on or not? There are people in line." Jiang Heng's father shut his eyes tightly then said, "The Zhang family bets 30,000. Jiang Han smiled and said, "That is the spirit," then turned to Yan Rishua's father and asked, "I request my father-in-law to be the witness." Yan Rishua's father grunted and said, "Fine, start now. I do not want to see you again." He sighed and thought, 7 yuan dan gone just like that. The scene shifted outside, where Zhao and his soldiers stood at one end of the training ground while Jiang Han stood alone at the other end, waving casually at Zhao, who smirked and turned to look at his men as he said, "Later in this round, whoever breaks Jiang Han's formation will be rewarded." The scene started on the ground where Zhao with his army and Jiang Han with his army stood in front of each other, as someone announced that the battle formation face-off was very simple. Both sides would set up their formation and fight until one side was defeated. Zhao's soldiers shouted woo 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 while holding their shields and sparrows in hand. Jiang Han's soldiers did not appear to be very powerful, as one of them remarked that Zhao had never lost in a battle formation, and the aura of this army was on another level. Yan Rishua and her father were sitting on benches as Yan Rishua asked what was with Jiang Han's soldiers, while her father responded that he had let him choose his soldiers himself, and that others already thought he was a disgrace, even with him forcing Jiang Han. Yan Rishua looked at the ground beside her, where Lin Yaowe and her father Lin sat with Zhang's father, as Lin said to brother Zhang that he could just wait to receive the 3 third-grade oils, and that he was afraid after this the Zhang family would be stronger than the city lord's manor. Zhang's father replied, asking what was he saying. Brother Lin, didn't your family also bet 20,000? And that their families would soon be related by marriage, and this time the Yan family's days were numbered. Hearing their talk, Yan Rishua's father got pissed off as he screamed at Jiang Han from his place, saying, some good third-grade pills and you're practically giving them away. You really can't do anything right. Jiang Han smiled nervously and thought that his father-in-law's gaze was too intense. But not to worry, later he would make his heart pound with joy. Yan Rishua's father shouted, ready and start, as Zhao pointed to his army to attack, shouting kill. His army got into one line and everyone there was shocked, as Yan Rishua's father said that army was using the one-line snake formation, and that this formation was a fierce one with strong offensive power. It could kill so quickly that even armor would not remain. As Zhao's army ran to attack Jiang Han's army in a crowd, Jiang Han and his father watched the battle. Zhang said to his dad to relax, and that he had already said if Jiang Han could win, he would call him grandfather. His father replied, if you called him grandfather then wouldn't I be his son? And Zhang said wickedly that was something impossible, and they could just wait here for that trash to cry for his father and mother. Jiang Han, holding his sparrow and shield in hand, stood at the back of his army while smirking, and then shouted shield as every soldier in his army covered him while also covering themselves with shields. So when Zhao's army attacked, their sparrows hit the shields, completely covering Jiang Han in a circle. Zhang laughed in the crowd, saying, haha, he had said that Jiang Han would surely lose, that the one-line snake was a very famous formation, and mocked what famous formation, what was this Jiang Han doing, was this the tortoise formation, saying he would not win even if he competed in anything, and stubbornly competed in battle formations, he was just looking to be abused. As Zhao's army attacked them, their sparrows hitting the shields, Jiang Han and his army defended themselves with the shield wall. Yan Rishua saw him and said no, while her father said to forget it and stop watching this because there was no suspense. Zhao, seeing this, said he would see how long they could hold out for and shouted to break their formation. His army hit all their sparrows again on them, but Jiang Han's army blocked it again with their shields. As he said they blocked it again, Zhao got angry and shouted, how was this possible? Yan Rishua said it couldn't be, this was one of the top 10 long-lost formations, as Jiang Han's power showed a big black tortoise on his back which caused the earth to tremble. Everyone was shocked, and Zhang's father said, this Jiang Han, it couldn't be, he really had a secret ace. Jiang Han, hidden behind the shield, smirked seeing their shocked faces. Zhang said to his dad not to worry. Top 10 formations? How could he know it? And pointed out that their formation was going to be broken. Zhao screamed in anger to hit them again, shouting they would not be able to hold on any longer. Zhao's army again went to hit them, when Jiang Han created a gap between his shields. Zhao, seeing this, got happy, thinking there was a gap, but Jiang Han smirked and shouted change formation. Zhao's army's sparrows hit the shields again, but they started spreading, causing the people there to be shocked as they said this was bad, it was stuck, and questioned what was this. Jiang Han also wanted to use the one-line snake formation, as another one said, and no, that is. As Yan Rushua screamed, saying no, this is the Imperial Dragon formation, she recognized it as one of the lost formations known for its offensive capabilities, while Jiang Han's army caught Zhao and his troops in between, with Jiang Han suddenly placing a sparrow blade at Zhao's neck, asking if this was the one-line worm formation that Commander Zhao had created himself, telling him to save his breath. Thinking that studying the entire library of the Luotian Palace with Yan Qingqing that year had not gone to waste, as someone in the crowd shouted that Jiang Han had won the first round, and the spectators stood in stunned silence, with Yan Rushua's father's mouth hanging open while Lin cursed under his breath, damning the 30,000 gold taels, lamenting that it was a full year's income that would now be deducted from this year's funds for pills, as Jiang Han, displaying a bag of money to Zhang and his father, said with a smile that this 30,000 gold taels would be kindly accepted by Grandpa, but today's wedding gift would still be counted separately, causing Zhang to cry out that he must be cheating, otherwise how could a trash like him achieve such a thing, declaring it impossible, just as Zhang's father slapped him and scolded whether he was still not ashamed, saying that if not for him, he could have cut his losses by 10,000. And then respectfully turned to Yan Rishua's father, and admitted that the Zhang family was willing to accept their loss in hand. Over the 30,000 taels, stating that the Yan family had indeed accepted a good son-in-law, to which Yan Rishua's father, slightly flustered, barked back asking what everyone was staring at him for, while in the background Zhao, beating a soldier in frustration, shouted at Jiang Han, calling him trash and vowing that in the next match he would kill his future grandchildren. Prompting Jiang Han to cheerfully declare that his marriage to Yan Rishua's father was a hasty one, and that the 7 pills, 70,000 gold, and the 10 lost formations would be the betrothal gifts, as Yan Rushua and her parents approached Jiang Han, and her father held up a tray containing Jiang Han's winning gift, exclaiming with disbelief and joy that these really were the 10 long-lost battle formations and the only existing copy. Causing everyone to gasp as Jiang Han gave a thumbs up to Yan Rushua while thinking that the ink on the last copy was still damp, wondering if it had just been written, and Yan Rushua smiled in return, while behind them, Zhang's father clutched his neck, thinking that this kid had frightening foresight and had likely guessed well in advance that Zhaoan would choose to compete in battle formations, making preparations early, and Lin Yaoe, watching with clenched fists, thought in anger that she had severely underestimated Jiang Han. As Jiang Han walked up to Zhao and asked if he still wanted to compete in the next 2 rounds, telling him not to rush because he had to ask his mother-in-law something first, turning toward her and asking whether, since Zhaoan was her nephew, they should even continue the next rounds, warning that if they did, her nephew might not walk away from the Yan estate today, while Zhao boiled with rage and the crowd behind him whispered in awe at Jiang Han's confidence, wondering why he was asking such questions. As his mother-in-law replied coldly that the competition between the two should be settled by themselves and not to worry about her, giving permission to continue. While Yan Rishue's father remained silent as Jiang Han gave a thumbs up and thought that he had worried about offending his mother-in-law, but now realized the relationship between the Yan and Zhao families was not so simple, and Zhao, grasping his bow, snarled for Jiang Han to stop stalling and that they could begin right now, swearing that Jiang Han's castration would not be ordinary. While someone in the crowd shouted that Zhao was wielding the Decastone bow, and another gasped that an ordinary 9th grade Qi-gathering cultivator would barely be able to hold it, as Jiang Han mocked that Jiang Han would surely lose this time, claiming that someone at the 2nd grade Qi-gathering stage could not even draw the bowstring, let alone compete with Zhao Han, whose archery was renowned throughout Snowfell City, and Yan Rishue, hearing this, felt a nervous tension and wondered why Jiang Han would choose to compete in archery, while Xiao sneered and called out to Jiang Han, warning him to prepare for castration, but Jiang Han sat casually on a bench eating an apple, ignoring him, prompting Zhao to shout for someone to bring the stone disc, and 2 soldiers carried a heavy disc into the air, while Zhao stretched his arrow and released it, shattering the stone into pieces at a distance of 1 kilometer, turning to Jiang Han and asking smugly what he could do. As murmurs spread in the crowd about how difficult it was to shatter even a single moving target, and Jiang Han laughed and said that Zhao dared to call himself a pro archer with such skills and that at this rate he could shoot until Zhao got pregnant, causing Yan Rishue's father to spit out his tea in shock and Yan Rishue herself to cough, asking how he could say such things, while Zhao in fury hurled his bow toward Jiang Han, shouting that if he could not even draw the bowstring, his death would be worse, and Jiang Han, catching the bow, groaned under its weight, drawing laughter from the crowd, one of whom joked that he would hurt himself using it, while another scoffed that this was it, but Jiang Han, holding the bow with both hands, remarked that it was made from wild blood rhino horn and the bowstring from fine tendon, calling it a good bow, as Zhao grinned and asked why he was only looking at it, taunting him for not having tried it and asking if he was afraid of breaking his bones, while Jiang Han snickered from behind, saying he would break his teeth instead, and Jiang Han replied that indeed he did not dare to use this bow, not because of his strength, but because he feared breaking it and having to pay compensation, prompting Zhao to sneer that the Decastone bow was not something Jiang Han could break and vowed that if he did, he would kneel and call Jiang Han grandpa, which Jiang Han accepted with a smile as he drew the bowstring and released an arrow that snapped the bow in half, asking Zhao and Jiang Han if they would now kneel together, leaving them both stunned, as he pointed at Yan Rishue and joked that they were not even married yet and already had 2 grandsons, asking if this should be counted as a happy occasion, to which she replied that she did not want grandsons, and Jiang Han shouted in rage that Jiang Han must be cheating, while Zhao raged that there must have been trickery involved, since with Jiang Han's cultivation he should not have been able to break the bowstring, and Jiang Han, knowing they would not admit defeat, declared that he would broaden their horizons and called for someone to bring him a Quinkadextone bow, stunning the crowd as someone exclaimed that the bow weighed 225 kilograms and could not be wielded by a 2nd grade Qi-gathering cultivator, while Yan Rishue's father, inspecting it, said the bow was made from the hard sky dragon stone and the bowstring from the tendons of the Jade Snake King, noting it had been a treasure of the manor that no one could draw, and Lin Rui's father asked if Jiang Han was truly adept at archery, to which she admitted she had never heard of it and did not think he could draw the Quinkadec bow, while Jiang Han took position and readied 3 arrows, shocking the crowd as they cried that more arrows did not always mean better accuracy, and he launched them in different directions, shattering the stone into pieces at once, with the soldiers examining the fragments and calling over the city lord, who upon inspecting the stones announced in disbelief that all 3 arrows had hit their targets at the same time from different directions, praising the exquisite control, and the crowd erupted in astonishment as the 2nd round was declared a complete victory for Jiang Han, while Jiang Han, Lin Ruiyu, their fathers, and Zhao fumed in frustration, muttering curses, and Zhao in despair, declaring that Yan Rishue was being stolen by someone else and he had been foolish to bet on Zhao, while staring at the shattered stones and refusing to accept defeat, swearing that cousin Yan Rishue should be his and his alone, just as Jiang Han knocked another arrow and aimed it at Zhao, saying that little grandkids should offer this to grandpa, provoking Zhao to scream in defiance, his veins bulging in rage, and Jiang Han released the arrow straight toward him, which Zhao managed to catch but not without getting slightly injured. And in fury he shouted that Jiang Han had a lot of nerve, charging toward him while swearing to make him suffer 10 times over and torture him until he begged for death, and Jiang Han, smirking calmly, replied really, inviting him to watch carefully as both unleashed their full strength, a 2nd grade versus a 9th grade cultivator. As they both fought, the people watching murmured in disbelief, questioning how a rank 2 cultivator could possibly defeat a rank 9, convinced that Jiang Han would be beaten to death. But just then, Yan Rishue screamed, telling Zhao to back down, only for him to shout in anger that he would destroy Jiang Han and make her his woman, and with that declaration, Jiang Han punched him in the face with such force that Zhao flew backward and crashed to the ground, causing the crowd to back away as Zhao staggered up, eyes wide, asking if Jiang Han was not in the rank 2 realm, and the people around gasped, watching Jiang Han's next move and exclaiming that this was rank 6 focus energy realm, questioning how such a powerful force could be called useless, realizing he had been deceiving them the entire time, and as Zhao screamed in defiance, asking what if he was rank 6 and declaring he was dead meat. Jiang Han calmly asked if no one had told him before, and punched him in the stomach so hard that Zhao mouth bled as he groaned in pain, only to be struck again in the face, his nose bleeding, and then Jiang Han slammed his foot into the ground and launched a brutal punch that sent Zhao flying into the air, leaping after him and raising his leg midair as Zhao trembled and muttered no, while Jiang Han coldly stared at him and then slammed his leg onto the top of Zhao head, sending him crashing straight into the ground with a brutal impact that left the entire crowd stunned, including Jiang Han and his father, who both stared in disbelief as Jiang Han shouted that it was an instant kill. Zhao En's body lying in a pool of blood, and as Jiang Han descended, his sleeve torn and his arm bleeding, Zhao En coughed weakly and stammered in disbelief, questioning how this could be happening, while Jiang Han shouted furiously that Jiang Han was supposed to be a rank 2 piece of trash, demanding to know how it was possible for someone even at rank 6 focus energy to knock out a rank 9 instantly, insisting that they had been humiliated enough, and Jiang Han was too blind to realize when he was being deceived, only for his father to smack him across the face, making his nose bleed as he grabbed his collar and muttered that Jiang Han was clearly hiding even more than they had realized, while Jiang Han stepped forward toward Zhao En and sneered, asking if he was stumped. Then placed his foot on Zhao En's face and removed his coat, revealing a tattoo on his back and asking if he understood now, and upon seeing it, Zhao En's eyes widened in horror as Jiang Han screamed in shock that Jiang Han had severed his meridians, for severed meridians could temporarily increase physical strength tenfold, but the price was complete destruction of one's cultivation path, as it would permanently sever all meridians, preventing any future progress and possibly shortening one's lifespan, and Jiang Han began laughing maniacally, declaring that Jiang Han was still trash because his meridians were destroyed and he would forever remain stuck at rank 6, while his father looked solemn, thinking Jiang Han was still too immature and had not thought things through, wondering why he would go to such extremes. And as Yan Rushua walked toward him, Jiang Han turned to Zhao En, who begged for mercy, only to have Jiang Han respond coldly, telling him to go to hell before stomping his face, killing him instantly as the onlookers fell silent in shock, whispering that he had truly killed Zhao En. And as Jiang Han turned to Yan Rushua, he asked if the wedding should now proceed, to which she replied sure, while Lin Yue watched them with anger in her heart, thinking that Jiang Han had hidden so much from her and that it was good his meridians were severed because she was still too good for him and Yan Rushua was no better than her. And as the wedding continued, the two bowed to the heavens and the earth, and then to each other, as husband and wife before being sent to the bridal chamber, where Jiang Han sat happily, blushing and thinking about the flickering candles and the beautiful woman beside him, telling himself to cherish the moment, and deciding it was time to make a move as he gulped and reached out his hand, only for her voice to stop him as she said she had been surprised today, and removing the cloth covering her face, she told him he was not a useless person and that he was clearly brave and resourceful, asking what he was hiding, and he replied nervously, blushing and insisting he was hiding nothing, thinking to himself that now was not the time to talk and that they should be getting down to business. But she asked why he had killed Zhao En, warning that the Zhao family would never forgive him and that severing his meridians was a lose-lose situation, and he suddenly grabbed her face and drew her close, startling her as he explained that many eyes and ears were present at their wedding and that if he had not severed his meridians, the Zhang and Lin families would have become suspicious and reported him to the county lord's mansion, who would then join forces to defeat the Yan family. And when that happened, the Yan family would be outnumbered, so by severing his meridians, it would appear as though he had simply performed well in a moment of desperation, and everyone would still believe he was useless. And as she listened, her eyes widened, thinking she had not known he would go so far for the Yan family's sake, and that such a sacrifice was too great. And as he pulled away, she held his hand and quietly thanked him, to which he replied with a gentle ahem, reminding her that he was her husband after all, though in his mind he wondered how much longer they were going to keep talking, while she softly said that since they were now husband and wife, he would always be her Yan Rushua husband and that she would protect him as long as he stayed within the city lord's mansion. And as he blushed and murmured her name, he thought to himself that he should not tell her about his plan to restrict his meridians in order to become stronger, and just then, she suddenly smacked his hand away and turned around, making him think in frustration how she could toss him aside so easily, and she cleared her throat, saying he just needed to stay in the city lord's mansion for a year, and after that, if he still wished to leave, she would ask her father to grant him a large amount of money and set him free. And he stepped in front of her, telling her not to think too much and that they could discuss it more tomorrow. And as she looked at him in surprise, he suddenly pushed her gently onto the bed, removing his clothes and whispering that tonight they should cherish the beautiful moments they shared together. As Jiang Han jumped on her to kiss her, but she dodged to the side and he fell directly onto the bed, he thought, why is my wedding night going so poorly? As she sat down and said, I'm sorry, I only want to be your wife on paper. I really can't accept you like this. And he got shocked, saying, are you just going to let me spend this romantic night alone? As she said, I can't. Why don't we ask Xianger to keep you company? And he said, alright, we'll ask Xianger to serve me instead, while thinking, I only have 1 year to live, I can't burden anyone else. And as Xianger came saying, do you have any orders? Yan Rishua said, come in, Xianger, and told her to stay here and keep him company. And as Xianger got shocked, saying, miss, she walked out and heard him say, come on, take it off yourself. And as Yan Rishua heard this, she said, all men are the same, while Xianger with teary eyes said, I have something to say, but I'm not sure if I should say it. And he said, nope, why are you still crying? Quit stalling. And as he put his hand on her bare back, he said, be quiet, I'm not going to take advantage of you. And as she said to him, you're done already, sir. He was doing something with his hand and said, don't say something like this to a man. As he formed a book and a bottle and gave them to her, saying, I just tested your physique. If you cultivate according to this secret manual, your cultivation speed will increase tenfold. Eat these body honing pills as well. If you don't eat them, I'll eat you. And as she said, sir, he said, I'll be right here. And as she took it, Jiang Han thought, I didn't think that I'd encounter a purine body. It's worth cultivating. I could deflower my wife, and now even my items have been taken away. What a waste. And in the morning he stretched his body, saying, I'm so tired. As Xianger bowed from the back, saying, thanks for your hard work, sir. And he thought, I spent the whole night cultivating. And as Yan Rishua came there, saying, time to go pay our respects, and walked away, Jiang Han said, wait for me, darling. while thinking oh no was there a misunderstanding, it's scary when women get jealous. And as they reached the hall where Yan Rishua's mother and father were sitting on a throne, her father said, Jiang Han, since you joined the Yan family we will protect you. And as Jiang Han gave him something he took it saying, but if you do anything that harms our family I won't forgive you. And Jiang Han nervously laughed saying, yes father-in-law. As her mother said, why are you being so aggressive, and told Jiang Han that even though you can't increase your level of cultivation I can see that you genuinely like Rishue. You should work to produce a nice healthy grandchild for me. And Jiang Han got happy saying, yes mother-in-law, I'll do my best and I won't stop until I die. As Yan Rishue saw him with no expression and walked away, Jiang Han thought hee but my wife isn't being very cooperative. And he said to him, I have some news father, I'm afraid that the people from the County Lord's mansion will arrive this afternoon. This time it's the young master and the butler from the County Lord's mansion. The young master is 16 years old and is at the 7th rank of the focus energy realm. He's extremely mischievous. However, he's also accompanied by a senior butler named Jiang Han, a rank 1 grandmaster with tyrannical strength. And as Yan Rishue said, how do you plan to handle this father? Her father said, when the County Lord's son finds out you're married, he'll be upset, but he's an arrogant man. And Yan Rishue said, so I don't think he'll attack the Yan family so brazenly. But the troop consists of his younger brother. What if he has some unreasonable requests? And her father said, as long as his requests aren't too outrageous we'll agree to any of his demands. And Jiang Han said, what if they're too outrageous? As Yan Rishue turned to him in anger and said, I guess we must endure it. And her mother said, do you have any other ideas Hanner? And he said, not really. If their demands aren't outrageous we'll do as father-in-law says and help meet their demands to the best we can. But if they cross the line then we'll have no choice but to kill them all. And as Yan Rishue's father slammed his hand on the side table saying, nonsense, what happens if we kill them and the County Lord's mansion decides to destroy us? Wouldn't you be putting the City Lord's mansion at risk? Don't speak if you're ignorant. And Jiang Han said, don't worry father-in-law. Now that the political marriage can't be achieved, they'll definitely assert pressure on Piaoshua's city by the order of the County Lord. If they ask you to hand over your military power will you agree to such a request? And her father said no. What if they threaten you with Rishue? And Yan Rishue said, I'd rather kill myself than let them succeed. And as Jiang Han and his father both said no and Jiang Han held her hand. She thought in shock, is he that concerned about me? And her mother slightly moved the cup to make noise and get attention saying, Hanner, since you brought up killing them do you have a plan? And Jiang Han said, yes I have a 3-part plan. And her father said, you make it sound so easy, but this time there's a rank 1 grandmaster among the people, how can we possibly kill him? And her mother said, let's hear what Hanner has to say. And as Jiang Han took out something from under his coat and gave it to them saying, don't worry about other things today father-in-law, just focus on practicing this technique combined with body honing pills, it will work wonders. And as Yan Rishue's father saw the thing he said, legendary techniques. And Jiang Han said, yup, as for the other parts of my plan I'll make the arrangements myself. Yan Rishue and Jiang Han stood on the stage before the assembled soldiers, their gazes firm as the disciplined and battle-hardened troops looked up at them in silence. Jiang Han observed them with a satisfied nod, thinking the troops looked disciplined and carried a murderous aura. Yan Rishue, standing behind him, said that all 3,000 of Piaoshue's city's guards were present and that he could take his pick, though she questioned if he was sure about only choosing 30, reminding him that their opponent was a grandmaster. Jiang Han confidently replied that 30 would be enough. He raised his voice and shouted a greeting to the troops, but the silence remained, causing him to clear his throat and mutter to himself that they would need to work on call and response during practice to seem more intimidating. One soldier offered to help him pick based on cultivation levels and combat strength, but Jiang Han declined, stating that cultivation levels did not matter to him, which drew subtle irritation from the crowd. He then addressed the soldiers with a loud voice, telling them the mission was extremely dangerous and closely tied to the life and death of Piaoshua's city, giving them the option to back out. Instead, the soldiers shouted that they would fight and would not retreat. He then announced that he would be listing a few conditions, and those who met them could come onto the stage, prompting Yan Rishue to wonder what kind of conditions he had in mind. Jiang Han first called for those who knew how to compose music, shocking the soldiers and even Yan Rishue, who thought she had misheard. He asked again if among 3,000 soldiers not a single one had any musical talent, and murmurs spread as many scoffed at the idea of a composer being useful in combat. Eventually, a soldier raised his hand and stepped forward, asking if drummers counted. Jiang Han smiled and invited him up, asking his name, to which the soldier replied that he was Luo Xing. Thanking him, Jiang Han welcomed him as whispers broke out among the crowd questioning why someone so weak, only at the rank 1 focus energy realm, was selected for such a mission. Unfazed, Jiang Han moved on to his second condition. The soldiers began thinking the first must have been some joke, expecting the next to be about combat strength. Instead, Jiang Han asked for those who could embroider to step forward. A soldier leapt up in disbelief, and a ripple of shock moved through the crowd. Jiang Han, grinning slightly, asked if no one knew how to embroider, until another soldier raised his hand and admitted he had learned needlework from his mother. The others stared in disbelief, not expecting him of all people to admit such a thing. Jiang Han called him up, asking his name, and the soldier introduced himself as Du Weiliang. Jiang Han remarked that his name sounded like a girl's name but accepted him nonetheless, thinking the man was built like a tank yet acted delicate. Yan Rishue watched the scene, unable to understand what Jiang Han was planning, wondering what his remaining conditions could be. Jiang Han then invited those who could sew to step forward as well, causing even more shock, followed by a call for dancers, acrobats, blacksmiths, chess players, and butchers. Hands began shooting up as various soldiers realized they qualified, and soon 30 individuals stood on the stage. Yan Rishue asked if he truly planned to use these people to fight a grandmaster, and Jiang Han confirmed that was exactly his intention, questioning what else he would choose them for if not combat. She thought to herself that the strongest among them was only at the third rank of focus energy, and doubted they could even scratch a Grandmaster's protective barrier. She voiced her concerns, warning him not to treat soldiers' lives lightly. Jiang Han gently touched her face, commenting that she was even more beautiful when angry, and assured her that although they were weak now, they still had 10 hours until dusk, enough time to strengthen them. As she hesitated, he ordered the selected group to follow him and promised she would understand how they would win when the time came. As he left, the soldiers who were not selected grumbled, questioning what Jiang Han was thinking, appalled that he had chosen such seemingly useless individuals for a mission of such importance, fearing that Piaoshua's city was being led to destruction by an incompetent man. One of them muttered that it was unfortunate that Commander Yan had to marry such a useless husband. Suddenly, Yan Rishua's voice rang out as she shouted at them to stop gossiping about her husband. She ordered them all to the training field and doubled their training for the day. The soldiers quickly complied, surprised that the commander had spoken up in defense of Jiang Han. As she walked away, she wondered if 10 hours would really be enough. The scene shifted to a group of outsiders approaching on horseback, led by the county lord's son and the butler Jiang Han. The townspeople looked on in shock at the sight of the entourage. The county lord's son scoffed at the rundown appearance of the town and questioned why his brother had bothered with such a place, to which butler Qin replied that the older brother had long-term plans and also heard that Yan Rushua was stunning. The son dismissed her beauty, calling her a fool, and tugged harshly on a rope connected to a girl's neck, causing her to scream in pain. He told her to stop shouting and muttered about how she dared to marry before his brother arrived, declaring that she had humiliated the lord's mansion and would not be spared. Butler Qin agreed, and the son smirked, saying his brother would not want damaged goods, but he did not mind playing with her himself. He then told Jiang Han he would need his cooperation later, to which the butler calmly replied that he would be at his command. The son smirked darkly, thinking to himself that he would make them pay. The episode started at Lord Yan's palace, where the county lord's son and his butler arrived, as Yan Rishua's father bowed before him, saying, "It's an honor to have the young county lord's son visit our humble Piaoshua city." The son replied, "Humph," while looking at Yan Rishua, saying, "That face, that body, it's no wonder my brother wanted to marry you. However, I heard that you're already married." Seeing him, Yan Rishua thought, "I heard that this county lord's son is a pervert, but I didn't think he'd be so crass. We just met, yet he's already harassing me." She said, "Yes, your highness, I've indeed gotten married." The county lord's son laughed. "It'd be a shame if a beauty like you became my sister-in-law." As he clapped, "It's better this way." Yan Rishua and her father grew angry while he laughed, and they both thought, "Looks like it's time to carry out Jiang Han's plan." Yan Rishua's father showed them the way, saying, "You jest, your highness, but please follow me to my mansion so you can rest. The Yan mansion has prepared a banquet to welcome you." The county son entered, saying, "Humph, that's good. I have some things to tell you too." The dining table was decorated with delicious food. The son and the butler entered the room and sat in their chairs as Yan Rishua's father and mother came in. The son looked at them as Yan Rishua's father said, "Go ahead, my wife." The county son looked at Yan Rishua and her mother's cleavage so pervertedly, then said to Yan Rishua's father, "You're so lucky, City Lord Yan. Not only do you have such a dignified and womanly wife, but you also have such a stunning daughter. You are truly blessed." Yan Rishua said, "You flatter me, your highness," while her father thought, "Not only is this rascal trying to make a move on my daughter, but he's also drooling over my wife as well. Jiang Han is right, he must be killed." The son said, "I heard that your son-in-law is an excellent young man. Why haven't I seen him yet?" Yan Rishua's father said, "You jest, your highness. My son-in-law is not fit to be present here tonight. I asked him to hide himself so he wouldn't ruin your appetite." The son said, "No way. Please call him over, City Lord Yan. I don't want people to think I'm too domineering." Yan Rishua's father said, "All right, I'll send for him at once." Thinking, Jiang Han is right, he insisted on meeting him. The scene changed to somewhere else, where someone said, "Sir," and it was Jiang Han. A servant said, "I'm ready," as he showed him the way, and all the soldiers were also ready. The scene changed back, where Jiang Han entered the dining area and greeted them, saying, "Greetings, your highness." The son said, "So you're Jiang Han. I didn't realize you were such a pretty boy. It's no wonder you caught the eye of this beauty. Come, sit." Jiang Han said, "Thank you, your highness." As Yan Rishua, seeing him, thought, "He's way too good at acting. He's indeed useless. He got so easily shocked by this situation. I don't know how he caught Yan Rishua's fancy." Jiang Han sat next to Yan Rishua as the son said, "Since everyone is here, I won't beat around the bush. Today, I'm supposed to represent my brother to ask for Yan Rishua's hand in marriage. However, since Miss Yan is already married, we won't force you to marry him." Then he said to Yan Rishua's father, "However, my father has a few conditions that the city lord must agree to." Yan Rishua's father asked, "What are they?" The son said in a strange tone, "The city lord's mansion shall surrender to the county lord's mansion, and you shall hand over Piaoshua's city's military power. I'm sure you can agree to that, right?" Yan Rishua's father replied, "Will you allow me some time to consider this, your highness?" The son said, "Of course. Don't take too long, though." Yan Rishua's father said, "Thank you for understanding," but was interrupted when the son said, "However, City Lord Yan, while you're taking your time to consider," as he pointed toward Yan Rishua and her mother, "I'll require your wife and daughter to serve me." They both looked shocked as the son continued, "I enjoy drinking with company. Your wife and daughter are as beautiful as angels, so I can't think of better company. Surely you wouldn't mind, right?" Yan Rishua's father got extremely angry and said, "You," while thinking, "This bastard knows that I'd never send Piaoshua's city to its doom, and with his rank 1 Grandmaster by his side, he must think I wouldn't dare to take action against him." From the back, Jiang Han, while bowing to the sun, elbowed his father-in-law and said, "Your Highness, if you wish to enjoy your wine with some company, I can help you find some other beautiful ladies. This way, you wouldn't need to trouble my mother-in-law and Yan Rishua." The son said, "Who do you think you are? To be frank, I want to sleep with your wife and your mother-in-law. I'll definitely make that happen." Yan Rishua and her mother grew furious as Jiang Han put his hand on his father-in-law's shoulder, saying, "How bold of you, your highness. I suppose you're not planning on sparing the city lord's mansion today." The son squinted his eyes, then laughed, saying, "That depends on my mood. Even though your wife and mother-in-law are beautiful women, and hey, mother and daughter, this is still not exciting enough. If you and your father-in-law kneel in the hall and play some drums to liven things up, perhaps I'll spare you." Yan Rishua's father became even more furious but stayed silent as Jiang Han said, "Your highness, you're behaving so arrogantly. Aren't you afraid that we'll rebel? You're in our territory right now." The son laughed. "Do you think I'm a fool? If any of you touch a single hair on my body, the tens of thousands of citizens in your city will follow you to their graves. Do you think the rank 1 Grandmaster by my side is merely for show?" Jiang Han said, "Your highness, now that you've said that, it'd be a shame if I didn't rebel." As he clapped his hands and all the soldiers appeared behind him, he said, "This is just a small gift, please accept it." The son looked at them, and they were all holding bags in their hands. The son's eyes widened, thinking, "My soldiers, they're all dead." He screamed, "How dare you oppose me, Yan Tiangang?" Jiang Han and Yan Rishua's father said, "You'll die tonight." As the son screamed, "You must have a death wish, Li Tiangang." "Kill him, Gao Chong," as the butler said, "Yes, your highness," as the butler ran towards Yan Rishua's father full of power, ready to fight, as the butler came with full power, hitting him with an elbow as they both elbow joined to each other as they both started fighting, as they both were ready to punch each other, as they punched, each other's punch clashing and they both got flung far away as the floor broke, as Yan Rishua's father's mouth bled, as the butler holding his chest said, "You're rank 1 Grandmaster." As the son seeing this thought, "How is that possible? How could Yan Tiangang suddenly have a breakthrough and become a rank 1? That puts me in a dangerous spot." As Jiang Han said, "I bet you didn't expect this, your highness. It doesn't seem like the master next to you will put you in a highly advantageous position. How about this? If you kneel before me and kowtow 3 times, I'll spare your life." As the son screamed, "Go to hell." As the butler said, "Don't worry, your highness. It seems like Yan Tiangang has only achieved a breakthrough. But his body is still unstable. He has already gotten hurt from that fight just now. I can guarantee that I'll finish him off in 10 moves," as the son said. "As for this wretched son-in-law, I'll chop off his legs and sew his mouth shut. I'll make him watch as I play with his wife. I'll let him know the consequences of pissing me off." As the butler said, "Sure." As Jiang Han said, "Hey mister, don't rush into a fight just yet. I've prepared a special present just for you. I've already given you the first gift. If you don't believe me, you can take a look at your palm." As the butler looked at his palm, that felt strange. He got confused, thought, "I didn't touch any of the food. I was worried about getting poisoned. How did this happen?" As he screamed, "When did this happen?" As Jiang Han said, "Didn't you find the city lord's mansion especially fragrant today? It was specially crafted for you. Perhaps if you hadn't activated your vitality, you wouldn't have been poisoned. However, during that fight you released a lot of your vitality. Hence the poisonous gas followed your vitality into your body." As the butler said, "So you mixed it with the fragrance powder. That was a clever trick, young one. I avoided countless schemes in the past, yet I fell for an amateur's trick." As Jiang Han said, "Don't worry though. This poison won't kill you, but it'll weaken you. Now you only have half of the strength you used to have." As the butler said, "I might only have half my strength, but the same goes for your father-in-law, right?" As Jiang Han clapped, saying, "That's right. So the next person you'll fight isn't my father-in-law. I hope you'll accept your second gift graciously." As with that, soldiers came from the back with heavy metals. Seeing them, the butler said, "Dark metal, heavy armor. You sure are a generous spender. But do you really think these men can fight me?" As the son said, "Is that it? Are you stupid? You're making 10 focus energy round fighters face a rank 1 Grandmaster. Do you think dressing them up like tortoises will work?" As Yan Rishua's father thought, out of the 3,000 soldiers he has, why did he only pick a handful? As from the back, Yan Rishua and her mother seeing them thought, "Aren't these the 10 blacksmiths? Can they really fight a Grandmaster?" As Jiang Han said, "Why don't you try and see?" As the butler said, "Since you insist on sending them to their deaths, I'll oblige." As the butler struck the ground with immense force, causing the entire formation of soldiers to stumble. He declared that even 100 focus energy round cultivators could not withstand the attack of a rank 1 Grandmaster, warning that all 10 of them would die. This prompted every soldier to step back, raising their shields to cover their chests, forming a tight defensive line just as the butler charged forward at full power. A blinding light surged from his body, forcing everyone to briefly shut their eyes. Little Yan Rishua whispered in awe, realizing that this was the true strength of a rank 1 Grandmaster. She wondered what had happened to the 10 soldiers. Jiang Han, calm as ever, assured her not to worry, which widened Yan Rishua's eyes. She wondered how he could remain so composed in the face of such overwhelming power. The butler slammed his hand against one soldier's shield with full force, expecting to break through instantly, only to find the line unaffected. He reeled in disbelief, thinking they had actually managed to block his attack. The county son exclaimed that it was impossible. Yan Rishua and her parents watched in astonishment, questioning how such a thing could be done. Jiang Han chuckled and revealed that he had used a power enhancement technique on their bodies, increasing their strength by at least 3 ranks. He had also applied the shield energy discharge technique, explaining that with these 2 enhancements, blocking an attack from a rank 1 Grandmaster was no longer unthinkable. However, he admitted this Grandmaster was stronger than anticipated, as even their custom-made, reinforced dark metal shields had been dented. When one of the shields was finally destroyed, Jiang Han and Yan Rixue observed silently. The butler, still unfazed, moved faster to the side, analyzing their formation. While he acknowledged its usefulness, he identified a weak point and rushed to exploit it by charging between the soldiers. But he suddenly jolted and froze in place, startled by a sudden force. One soldier had struck him hard in the stomach with a steel rod, sending him flying. The county son questioned in disbelief how a rank 1 Grandmaster could be hurt by such a small group. At that moment, a loud drumbeat echoed from the doorway as a soldier struck a large war drum. The butler glanced back, confused. Yan Rixue's parents recognized the sound and exclaimed that it was the secret sonic attack technique. Jiang Han smiled and explained that it was the demon voice, amplified by the war drum to directly affect internal organs, calling it quite effective. Yan Rixue's father was deeply shocked, thinking that this was an extremely rare form of attack and wondering how Jiang Han had learned so many secret techniques. As the butler prepared to activate his power again, the soldiers stood ready. The county son, now panicking, screamed at Gao Chong, calling him trash and ordering him to use his full strength to kill everyone. He swore that if he could not defeat those useless soldiers, he would not be allowed to return to the city alive. The butler replied affirmatively and unleashed his full power. The impact sent the soldiers flying, some into the air, others stumbling backward. Yan Rixue's father cried out for the protection barrier as the butler now stood at the center, declaring confidently that, though they had made him spit blood, they could never defeat a rank 1 Grandmaster. Electricity surged around him as he shouted that he would slaughter them all, killing them one by one. Jiang Han, Yan Rixue, and her parents listened in silence. The county son rejoiced, reminded that Grandmasters possessed protection barriers, yelling that they could never be killed and taunting them to try. Yan Rixue's father explained gravely that the protection barrier was indeed the mark of a rank 1 Grandmaster. Not even the sharpest weapons could pierce it. Jiang Han calmly told his father-in-law not to worry, and ordered the third gift to be presented. Suddenly, a bright flash transformed the entire room. A mysterious pattern formed on the floor, confusing everyone. The butler identified it as a chessboard array. Yan Rixue wondered if Jiang Han had deliberately chosen soldiers who knew how to play chess just to set it up. Jiang Han confirmed that it was an exquisite chessboard trap array capable of unpredictable transformations, and invited the butler to try breaking it. The floor rose beneath them. The butler looked around in confusion, then jumped down, scoffing that it was merely a cheap trick. He summoned more power, boasting that his protection barrier was indestructible. Even when struck from above, he laughed, claiming he had blocked the attack. But another force struck again. When he looked up, another strike landed, causing him to bleed from the mouth. The county son, stunned, exclaimed that the protection barrier had broken. Yan Rixue questioned it aloud. Her father watched in disbelief as Jiang Han smiled and explained that it had not been a hammer strike alone, but rather a hammer striking a nail, each blow increasing in force exponentially. The butler, bloodied, grit his teeth in pain and stood up. Cursing aloud, he furiously struck the air and demanded that his attacker reveal themselves. A sharp blue light flashed toward him, and a thin pin pierced near his eye, making him scream in agony as blood ran down his face. Jiang Han observed quietly, noting that the butler had only seen the bait. They would not allow him to spot the real attacks. Suddenly, hidden figures began striking from all directions. The butler tried shielding himself, yelling again for his attackers to show themselves. The county son cried out in terror, demanding to know who was attacking and desperately screamed for Gao Chong to protect him, hurling insults and commands. Jiang Han, Yan Rixue, and her parents remained calmly seated on their throne, watching the chaos. Jiang Han asked if it wasn't entertaining, and whether they were upset now. He casually offered grapes to Yan Rixue, who accepted with a simple yup. Jiang Han then announced that the next show would begin. The injured butler struggled to defend himself as more soldiers closed in. Though he managed to hit some hard enough to send them flying, he too was flung across the hall, landing near the county son. The boy looked at him in horror, asking how it was possible that a rank 1 Grandmaster could be beaten so badly by mere focus energy realm cultivators. Yan Rixue's father reflected in shock, thinking that a great rank 1 Grandmaster had been reduced to this by only 30 soldiers. He thought that if it had been any other time, Gao Chong would have torn them all apart. As Jiang Han stepped forward to face the butler, he mockingly asked whether he was satisfied with the gifts he had received. The butler, bloodied and humbled, muttered that he had killed countless people and never imagined he would face defeat at the hands of someone younger. Acknowledging that the Pyoshu's city lord had indeed found a good son-in-law, he asked Jiang Han if he had been the one to come up with the idea to kill him. Jiang Han confirmed with a calm nod, observing that despite being stabbed hundreds of times, the butler was still able to stand. He remarked that it was rare to find someone so strong-willed, though it was a pity the butler had chosen the wrong leader to follow. As the butler slowly stood up, he asked if Jiang Han wasn't afraid that after killing him and the county lord's son, the county lord's army would descend to crush them. But Jiang Han replied with quiet confidence, smirking as he said that tonight, the county lord would enjoy all the beauties gifted to him by Pyoshu's city and then leave the city grandly, singing merry songs on his way out. The butler laughed, admitting that Jiang Han had changed his opinion of him. He said he accepted defeat, but because Jiang Han was too cunning for his age, he could not be allowed to live. If he was to die, then he would take Jiang Han with him. With that, he charged forward with full killing intent. Jiang Han stood still, eyes locked on the butler. From the side, Yan Rixue ran forward shouting in panic, thinking this was the rank 1 Grandmaster's final desperation attack, something Jiang Han could not possibly withstand. being only at the rank 7 focus energy realm. Jiang Han gritted his teeth and focused all his power, muttering that he would have to give it his all. The butler roared that even in death, he would drag Jiang Han down with him. Just as his hand was about to strike Jiang Han's face, he suddenly halted. A thin line of blood trickled down his forehead. After a brief silence, he collapsed to the ground. Jiang Han stumbled backward and fell, soaked in sweat. He thought to himself that he had forcefully used his soul power despite his fragmented soul and that it had nearly shattered completely. Yan Rishua rushed to his side in concern and asked if he was all right. Her father looked down at the butler's lifeless body on the ground. Jiang Han replied that he was fine. The city lord noticed a needle embedded in the pillar nearby, the true cause of the butler's death, and wondered what kind of bizarre attack it had been. As Yan Rishua helped Jiang Han to his feet, he turned his gaze toward the county lord's son, who was now trembling in fear. Yan Rishua offered to handle him, but Jiang Han raised his hand to stop her. He reminded them that he had said before, if anyone dared lay a hand on his wife, he would kill them himself. Blood dripped from his mouth as the county son stammered that Jiang Han couldn't kill him. He was the son of the county lord. Jiang Han calmly picked up a sword from the ground. The county son panicked, shouting that if Jiang Han killed him, his entire city would be buried with him. He begged him to stop and think. But when Jiang Han raised the sword, the county son drew his own and pointed it at him, yelling that he dared to look down on him. Claiming superiority, he charged at Jiang Han, screaming for him to go to hell. Jiang Han cut him down in a single stroke. The sword fell from the son's hand as he screamed, and Jiang Han turned away coldly, saying to carry on with the banquet. Yan Rishua responded affirmatively, and the soldiers moved in to take away the bodies of both the butler and the county lord's son. The next scene opened in the palace the following morning. Voices echoed, "Young lord," as Yan Rishua, her parents, and Jiang Han observed from the corridor. 2 carriages stood ready. A few servant girls assisted the county lord's son, unaware that he was already dead. His real body lay hidden in one of the chests. At the rear, the county official laughed with the woman, and servants bowed, saying safe travels to the young lord. 2 carriers, struggling with the heavy chests, commented on how the county lord's son must have extorted a great deal of treasure from Piaoshua's city. They expressed pity for the city lord. Above them, Jiang Han and the others stood watching silently. Jiang Han remarked that once they reached the borders of Tianhe County, the young lord would be robbed and all his treasure stolen. Just then, a hand landed on his shoulder. It was his father-in-law, who praised him, saying he had done well, and that if not for his suggestions, they would never have been able to deal with the county lord's son. Jiang Han replied humbly that it was his duty now as a member of the Yan family. As he glanced toward the carriages heading out, he added that the bastard had tried to take advantage of Rishue and therefore deserved to die. His mother-in-law, proud, praised him for taking down a rank 1 grandmaster with only 30 people and asked what reward he would like. Jiang Han finally responded that he did, in fact, have a request in mind. As his father-in-law spoke with sincerity, he told Jiang Han to say what he wanted, vowing that even if he had to go to hell and back, he would do it, to which Jiang Han replied with calm assurance that he should not worry, as all he wanted was to take a trip to the Black Rock Mountains, explaining that when he had killed Gao Chong, he had used a forbidden technique and now needed to find a special herb to heal his wounds. His father-in-law's face grew solemn as he warned that the Black Rock Mountains were filled with monsters and demons, with many bandit groups such as the Black Wind Bandits roaming the periphery, asking if Jiang Han was truly sure he had to go despite the danger, and Jiang Han nodded, stating he had no choice, prompting Yan Ruxue to interject with concern, saying that given his current state, it would be too dangerous to go alone and that she would accompany him, but Jiang Han gently refused, insisting that she stay behind as there were still important matters she had to handle, reminding her that while they had averted a crisis for now, the county lord, the Zhang family, and the Lin family remained highly ambitious and that they could not let their guard down. He then presented her with 2 books, explaining that one was specially prepared for her and the other for the generals and soldiers, noting how he had trained 30 soldiers and that everyone had seen how effective they were. And as she accepted the books, she looked at him with emotion, saying he was doing so much for the Yan family, to which Jiang Han responded with a gentle smile that the Yan family was his family too, brushing aside a strand of her hair as she blushed and whispered that if he returned safely, then she would, before he interrupted her teasingly, asking if she would sleep with him, prompting her to yank her hand back with an embarrassed scowl, retorting that she had meant they would take a trip to the Jiang family residence to visit his grandparents, and Jiang Han sighed, joking that it was a shame, then looked at her softly as she turned back to her parents while he thought to himself that there was hope, there was definitely still hope, and that he was already looking forward to returning. The scene shifted as Jiang Han finished preparations, mounted his horse, and began his journey to the Black Rock Mountains, with Yan Ruxue and Xiangmu watching from behind, silently praying for his safety. The Black Rock Mountains loomed ahead, covered in thick vegetation with countless yuan beasts hidden within, their strength increasing the deeper one went, and as Jiang Han entered the black stone terrain, scanning the surroundings, he thought that he would be cultivating here over the coming month and needed to venture deeper into the mountain range to obtain the elixir that nourished the soul, knowing he had to grow stronger first, activating his power with intense focus. He initiated the mystic yellow spell of blessing, and as he opened his eyes, he felt a surge of joy, realizing that the vitality in the area was immense and that the spell was overflowing with power, deciding he should reduce the flow slightly to avoid attracting massive beasts, though it was already too late, as a beast behind him caught his presence and leapt toward him. Jiang Han turned in time to recognize it as a red-flamed gale panther, and swiftly jumped off his horse while the beast struck the area where he had just been, his horse evading the blow as well. Seated now upon a stone, Jiang Han assessed the situation, identifying it as a level 1 beast at the rank 7 focus energy realm, matching his own level, noting that beasts were often stronger than cultivators of the same rank and that few people could hold their own in such battles. But as he drew his sword with calm confidence, he thought to himself that this was the perfect opportunity to practice the sevenfold returning Yuan blade, a technique derived from the mystic yellow spell of blessing, and that the first step was to perfect his basic blade technique by cutting 10,000 times. So he launched an attack against the panther with fierce precision, raising his sword again as he confirmed that it was indeed a Yuan beast, both its body and spirit far more resilient than that of a human cultivator of the same level. Pointing his sword at it while stating inwardly that it was the perfect target for practicing his blade attacks, as the panther growled and roared in anger, glaring at him with wild fury. As Jiang Han ran before the panther, he struck it while counting, saying, "Do not run," as the panther roared in response, as if to say, "Why are you chasing me?" Jiang Han retorted, "No matter how much you roar, no one is coming to save you." With a powerful leap, he struck the panther with all his might. The creature thumped to the ground, and as Jiang Han sheathed his sword, he declared, 300. He sat near the panther, plucking a crystal stone from its head and muttering, "It took nearly 300 slashes to kill this creature, damn, my arms are sore." As he examined the stone, he noted, it is the lowest level 1 rank 7 Yuan beast after all, its Yuan core is quite small. The Yuan core is the crystallized form of the Yuan beast's energy, and the cultivation of the Yuan beast completely depends on the Yuan core in its head. The stronger it becomes, the larger the Yuan core grows, and the purer the energy within becomes. Therefore, the greater the level and rank, the more valuable it is. However, the energy within is very violent, and a cultivator cannot absorb it directly. Forcibly absorbing it will cause one to lose their mind. Therefore, the Yuan core can only be used as material for pill refinement, or as the refining material that is inlaid in weapons. However, such drawbacks do not exist for Jiang Han. He crushed the stone in his hand, a power emanating from it. With the domineering power of the mystic yellow spell of blessing, the violent factor of the Yuan energy in the Yuan core could be easily filtered out. Jiang Han exclaimed, "I reached rank 8 focus energy. I did not expect that this Yuan core would be so effective. It looks like I should hunt more Yuan beasts." He started running, saying, "That suits me fine, I need to make 9,700 more slashes." This was a day all the beasts within the Black Rock Mountains would remember. They experienced the horror of being chased and slashed hundreds of times. As he stood, he obtained one more stone by killing another creature, popping it open to absorb its power. As he closed his eyes, he felt the surge of energy, reaching the rank 9th focus energy realm. He thought, "I got dozens of cores, but I only reached the 9th rank." Suddenly, he was surprised, opening his eyes to see the power of the stone manifesting as a dragon appearing and roaming around his body. As he stood still, the dragon dissipated, and he looked at his hand, saying, "What a pleasant surprise. This body has the blood of the ancient dragon." He continued, "This ancient dragon bloodline is stronger than Yan Qingqing's phonic body. However, its concentration is too low. If I had not absorbed a large amount of Yuan beast cores, the bloodline might have remained dormant. Now that the bloodline is awakened, I still need some potent dragon blood. Forget it, I will put this master aside for now. With my current strength, it is still too soon for me to be killing dragon-type beasts. I should first increase my strength and find an elixir to stabilize my soul. Now that my basic sword technique has been completely refined, I can start cultivating the sevenfold returning Yuan blade." He began walking, saying, "Then all I have to do is kill some peak level 1 beasts, enter the pulse invigoration realm, and then enter the mountains to find the elixir." As he walked through the grass, steam suddenly rose from nearby, and he drew his sword, taking it out as he ran from the area, thinking, "Vitality Imperial items, it is a skilled cultivator at the pulse invigoration realm." Suddenly, arrows launched at him from the air, and he barely saved himself with the help of his sword technique, stumbling to the ground as one arrow dug between his legs. He thought, "Damn, this is a familiar position. It is poisoned as well." In anger, he shouted, "Who is there? Show yourself." A voice responded, "Not bad, you are just in the rank 9 focus energy realm, yet you can dodge my soul-chasing arrows." As Jiang Han listened, he felt confused, thinking, rank 4 pulse invigoration realm? The person revealed himself, an archer in hand, saying, "It seems like you are not as useless as they say, kid." As Jiang Han thought about his cultivation base, he realized that even among the city guards of Piaxu's city, he would be at the level of a great commander. He then asked if the person was from the Black Wind. The person laughed and confirmed that Jiang Han had a keen eye, stating that he was one of the 9 leaders of the Black Wind, specifically number 9, the Butcher. Jiang Han processed this information, recalling that every leader of the Black Wind had a nickname. The Butcher was known for his brutality, rumored to enjoy cutting off people's heads with his giant sword and using their heads as footballs. Countless people had died under his giant sword. He remembered his father-in-law mentioning this in a book specially written by Yan Tiangang, titled The Black Rock Mountains Experience Guide. Jiang Han asked if the Butcher had come all this way just for him. The Butcher raised his equipment and laughed, saying it appeared that the city lord's mansion son-in-law was pretty smart after all. He revealed that he was ordered to come here today to cut off Jiang Han's head. Jiang Han questioned the order, wondering if all 9 leaders of the Black Wind were on the same level and who could possibly order the Butcher around. He speculated if someone else was behind the Black Wind, perhaps the Lin family or the Zhang family. The Butcher approached him, swinging his giant sword and saying that Jiang Han was sharp. He then declared that he would just kill him. As he swung at Jiang Han sidestepped at the right moment, thinking that the Butcher was strong but did not seem too smart. The Butcher attacked again, but Jiang Han dodged once more, and as the attack went wide, he said that if the Butcher chopped him up, his wife would become a widow. The Butcher paused for a moment, then charged at him in anger. This time, Jiang Han blocked the attack with his sword, and as their swords clashed, he thought about the terrifying strength of the butcher. Suddenly, the butcher hurled him far away, and he hit the ground, rolling to the side to avoid the next attack. Jiang Han thought that the butcher must be a strength-type fighter and realized that if he kept fighting him like this, he would not win. The butcher laughed, saying that Jiang Han's beautiful wife had killed many people from the Black Wind. He assured Jiang Han that once he killed him, he would let thousands of the Black Wind's members take care of her on his behalf, making sure she would not be lonely. Jiang Han felt a surge of anger at this and jumped to attack him, but the butcher taunted that Jiang Han was only at rank 9 focus energy realm and was trying to fight him head-on. He declared that Jiang Han was done for. Jiang Han attacked him with his sword in anger, slashing in front of him as he stood there. When Jiang Han tried to run, the butcher shouted from behind that he was trying to flee and that it was a dream. He readied an arrow on his bow, and Jiang Han climbed a tree, jumping from branch to branch. The butcher launched an arrow at him, but Jiang Han dodged, the arrow hitting the tree instead. As he launched arrows back at the butcher, one narrowly missed him, and Jiang Han shouted that he was not sure if he had slept with the butcher's mom or something, questioning why the butcher was chasing him so persistently. The butcher replied that Jiang Han was digging his own grave and running toward the inner circle, where no one could save him now. Jiang Han thought about whether the butcher was really leading him toward the inside. The butcher continued that once he killed Jiang Han, he would pay his wife a visit and let her see his big sword. Jiang Han, dodging arrows, thought that the butcher clearly did not want him to run toward the inside of the mountains, yet he was saying that Jiang Han was digging his own grave. Suddenly, Jiang Han realized that he understood the butcher's intentions. He jumped from the tree, causing the butcher to exclaim that this kid actually dared to break into the inner circle. Jiang Han thought that the butcher did not seem to know that anyone below the level of Grandmaster had basically no chance of surviving once they entered. As he landed on the ground, the butcher saw him from behind and taunted that Jiang Han had gotten scared. Jiang Han replied that the inner circle was terrifying and that if the butcher had told him that earlier, he would not have run toward it. The butcher lunged to attack him, laughing that it was too late for regrets now and that Jiang Han should die. Jiang Han formed power in his hand and threw it toward the butcher, declaring 100,000 volts. The butcher exclaimed that it was a hidden weapon. A spark illuminated the area, revealing a bird as the power struck it. His eyes widened in realization as he thought that this was the baby of a thunderflame bird. This meant that there was a peak level 2 Yuan beast involved. The father bird fell near his feet, and the mother of the bird appeared in front of him, fierce and protective. The butcher pointed at Jiang Han, insisting that he was not the one who tried to kill the baby bird, but rather it was Jiang Han. However, as he looked back, he saw that Jiang Han had vanished, and panic set in as he muttered, "Where did he go?" He caught sight of Jiang Han running away, the thunderflame bird perched on his back, glaring at the butcher. As Jiang Han fled, he could only hear the butcher's screams behind him, thinking that the butcher had better hope to die at the hands of the thunderflame bird. If he did not, Jiang Han vowed to make him suffer for messing with him. Suddenly, a creature roared from behind, causing the butcher to look back in alarm. While running, he lamented his misfortune, questioning why he was so unlucky. Valley. He dashed into a chamber, glancing back to see the creature stop at the entrance, unwilling to enter. Jiang Han breathed a sigh of relief, muttering that not even the Great Earth Bear dared to enter this place, indicating that something must be wrong with the valley. He thought to himself that whatever the reason, he had no choice but to go inside. It was too quiet, but with a bear waiting outside, he had no other option. He reassured himself that there was no danger here and decided it was the perfect opportunity to practice his swordsmanship and martial arts techniques. He recalled the 7 returning Yuan blade, a technique that promised to generate a level of dark energy with each new level mastered, effectively doubling the power of his moves. The creator of this technique believed that the 7th level was the pinnacle of its power. Jiang Han took out his sword, closing his eyes to focus, although he knew there were still the right 9th levels beyond that. After reaching the 9th level, all of the energy would unite and become one, marking the technique as truly complete. The method of cultivation was straightforward. He just had to hack and slash. As he practiced, he slashed at the stone in the air, counting his strikes while circulating his vitality in a special way. He aimed to generate dark energy, thinking that even though he despised Yan Qingqing, he could not deny that she was indeed a martial arts prodigy. The skills she pursued were truly remarkable. As he continued his practice, he muttered in frustration about the difficulty of cultivating the 9-fold returning Yuan blade. He wished there could be a technique that took just a day to master. In the midst of his training, a mouse scurried across the ground, catching his attention. As he slashed at the stone, the mouse fled in fear, but Jiang Han was too focused on his practice to care. After successfully parting the stone with a powerful strike, he noticed a strange energy emanating from his sword. He exclaimed in surprise, realizing that what he had generated was indeed dark energy. As suddenly as a flash, eyes appeared in anger, and a giant creature emerged, roaring so loudly that the sound reverberated through the valley. Its light was so sharp that Jiang Han instinctively covered his eyes. When he opened them, he was shocked to see the creature before him and exclaimed in disbelief that it was a dragon. He thought that there was a dragon in this secluded valley, a black-scaled emperor dragon, a serpent dragon at peak level 4. As he observed it standing on 2 mountains, he realized that among the serpent dragon species, the black-scaled emperor dragon's combat strength was definitely ranked in the top 3. It possessed level 4 strength from the moment it was born, and this one must be a newborn. Jiang Han looked at his hands, contemplating that if he could obtain this black-scaled emperor dragon's blood essence, he could awaken his bloodline. However, he quickly reminded himself that a peak level 4 beast was equivalent to a peak grandmaster. In addition to that, the black-scaled emperor dragon had terrifying combat strength, easily overpowering even a rank 1 marquis. He turned to leave, deciding that it was not worth the risk, thinking that survival was more important. The bear at the entrance should be gone by now. Just then, the dragon roared, making him look back. In front of the dragon, he saw someone flying in the air and wondered who that was. A marquis of martial arts, perhaps. He felt a wave of fear wash over him, realizing that either of these two could easily crush him to death. Hidden in his thoughts, he considered the possibility of obtaining the black-scaled emperor dragon's blood essence. But he quickly dismissed the idea, thinking that this was too dangerous for him. He decided he would cheer the pretty lady on from a safe distance. He thought that he could observe the situation before he fled. If he could manage to get his hands on the black-scaled emperor dragon's blood essence, that would be great. The woman then addressed the dragon, stating that it had broken out of the Black Mountains and attacked a town, violating the Bloodblade Treaty. The dragon roared in response, and the woman continued, taking out her sword and declaring that even if it was a dragon, it had to abide by the Bloodblade Treaty. As an enforcer of the Bloodblade Alliance, she was prepared to fight. Jiang Han, witnessing this confrontation, thought about the Bloodblade Treaty and wondered if they could use that to control Yuan beasts. Moreover, he questioned what the Bloodblade Alliance was, as he had never heard of them before. As the woman readied herself for battle, she attacked the dragon, proclaiming that she sentenced it to death. Jiang Han's heart raced as he realized that the fight was about to begin. As the battle began between the woman and the dragon, she slashed her sword at the creature, tearing through its scales. Jiang Han watched in awe as they fought, thinking that the scales were so tough they might even be stronger than dark metal. There was more to this pretty marquis of martial arts than met the eye. The black-scaled emperor dragon's attacks were relentless, keeping pace with her every move. Just as the dragon was about to hit the woman, she stepped forward, leaping over its massive hand and climbing onto its head. With fierce determination, she slashed at its eye, digging her sword deep into the flesh, causing the dragon to roar in pain. Jiang Han instinctively covered himself, bracing for the chaos around him. However, the woman stumbled and fell from the dragon, landing hard against the tree. He could see her body covered in dragon blood as the dragon roared again, its fury palpable. Jiang Han thought about how strong the dragon was and wondered how he was supposed to awaken his bloodline. Did he really have to wait a few more years? The dragon, sensing the woman's vulnerability, turned to attack her again, but she was ready to fight back. She struck at the dragon several times, her determination unwavering. Just as she was about to dig her sword into the dragon once more, it retaliated with a powerful attack. Jiang Han's heart raced as he saw the dragon's ferocity, and he began to run in fear, thinking that it was over. It was time to run. He feared that the pretty marquis of martial arts was done for. The black-scaled emperor dragon was too powerful, and there was nothing he could do to help. Suddenly, the woman thrust her sword into the dragon's jaw, shocking it. Jiang Han's eyes widened as he thought about how the pretty marquis of martial arts had suddenly become so strong. As the woman finished her attack, she noticed something strange and exclaimed about a birthmark. She shouted for whoever was there to come out right now. Jiang Han felt a surge of panic as he hid behind a tree, thinking that he had been discovered. If he went out now, there was a 90% chance that he would get beaten up. This was such bad timing. As the woman fell from the air and into the water, Jiang Han's heart sank. Did she pass out? That scared him. He thought that if she fell into the lake like that and no one saved her, she would definitely die. But what if she woke up and killed him? He clenched his fists, torn between fear and concern. In a moment of resolve, he decided to dive underwater and grab her, thinking that he could not just leave a pretty lady to die like that. As he pulled her out of the water, he laid her down on the shore, looking at her with a mix of admiration and concern. He thought about how exciting this view was, feeling a strange sense of responsibility for her well-being. As he submerged himself in the water, Jiang Han thought that he had to endure it. The beauty would not run away, and he should pick up the loot while he could. He glanced at the dragon that was drowning, realizing that the black-scaled emperor dragon's corpse was filled with treasure. Its blood essence and yuan core were priceless. A smirk crossed his face, but he suddenly noticed something that surprised him. Something on the dragon's head caught his attention, and he thought that this peak level 4 dragon core was worth millions of gold coins, but it was damaged and now worthless. He approached the dragon, muttering that he could only take its blood essence. As he took out his sword and prepared to extract the stone, he thought about how this was a pleasant surprise. When he resurfaced, he looked at the woman, contemplating whether he should take care of the aftermath. He began to remove his clothes as the woman started to regain her senses. While Jiang Han sat beside her, he thought that he would treat this as returning the favor for her killing the black-scaled emperor dragon. He noticed that her back was injured, blood dripping out, and he quickly grabbed some herbs. Seeing her back, he remarked that she was fortunate to have met him, otherwise, her beautiful back would have been scarred. He smacked the herb onto her back, and he was shocked when she suddenly put her hand on him, her eyes still closed. Jiang Han continued applying the herb, thinking that who could resist this? Any man would. As she squeezed her fist and scratched at the stone, Jiang Han was taken aback, realizing that this was the strength of a marquis of martial arts. Thank goodness that was close. He hid under his clothes, which were hanging to dry, and thought about how he was a family man and could not betray his wife. He then took out the dragon stone he had brought with him and said that he should take this opportunity to handle some proper business. As he made a cut on it, he began absorbing its essence, but suddenly he opened his eyes and put a hand on his heart, feeling alarmed. Oh no, did he absorb too much at once? In that single moment, a powerful energy overwhelmed his body. He struggled to handle it, exclaiming that it hurt and that he could not take it anymore. As he screamed in pain, a flash erupted from his heart. The bloodline was awakened. The dragon blood had been purified. Tails formed on his back, his skin changed, and his nails began to form like a dragon's. He felt the emergence of his own wings and let out a roar, smirking as he observed the transformation. Rank 6 Pulse Invigoration Realm? He did not think that awakening this ancient bloodline would bring such great benefits. It seemed like he had hit the jackpot. As he scratched the stone with his sharp nails, it blasted apart, and he thought about how powerful he had become. Standing up straight, he realized that his strength, speed, and defense had all increased drastically. With these wings, he would be able to fly even before reaching the divine realm. However, he wondered if he would scare his wife with this form when he returned. Without his handsome appearance, how was he supposed to pick up girls? As he flew out of the water and landed, he suddenly felt a sharp pain and exclaimed that it hurt. Was it going to feel like this every time he switched forms? He was now at rank 1 Pulse Invigoration realm, and the dragon form was 5 ranks greater than the human form. The ancient bloodline was incredibly powerful. He wondered if the beauty was awake yet, and when he turned around to check on her, he saw that she was indeed awake. He asked her when she had woken up. As that woman spoke from the moment he started rolling on the ground, Jiang Han wondered why she had not said anything since he woke up so early. Did she think he was trying to see her naked body and take advantage of her? He quickly asserted that he was a married man, emphasizing his commitment. Anger flared in her as she threw a tantrum, retorting that even if he were attracted to her, he would first need to get his wife's permission to consider her as a second wife. Just as he was about to complete his thought, she slapped him, demanding he quit daydreaming and hurry up to put on his clothes. Jiang Han cursed under his breath, falling into the water in frustration, and shouted in anger that if she wanted to hit him, she should avoid his face. The woman screamed back, furious, claiming he had seen her back and had not yet paid her back for that. Who did he think he was? As he swam to the corner where she stood, he taunted her, saying it was his loss and that he would only be fair if she took off all her clothes and showed him her body. She sank her head into the water, declaring that if it weren't for his ancient dragon bloodline, she would have killed him already. Jiang Han, trying to speak, pleaded for her to let him up. As he put on his clothes behind a large stone, she waited, sitting down. He teased her, asking if she was sure she did not want to sneak a peek, confident that his abs, biceps, and delts looked amazing at that moment. She thought to herself that she would endure his arrogance because those with the ancient dragon bloodline were incredibly useful to the alliance, and they needed to recruit him. She snapped at him to shut up and demanded his name. As he stepped out and approached her, he introduced himself as Jiang Han, asking for her name in return. She coldly replied that he did not need to know her name since she was the one asking questions. She then inquired if he was willing to join the Bloodblade Alliance and become one of their members. Jiang Han, confused, admitted he had never heard of the Bloodblade Alliance. She explained that he was ignorant of its significance, as it was one of the largest organizations on the Tianwu continent, with branches all over. Their duty was to protect the continent from foreign enemies. She elaborated that external members were recruited by the Alliance and only needed to receive tasks to obtain contribution points, while internal members had sworn loyalty to the Bloodblade Alliance. Both external and internal members were under the same rank system, with higher ranks granting access to more resources. As Jiang Han contemplated the power of such an organization, he realized he had too many enemies and could benefit from strong allies. He declared he would join but insisted on maintaining his personal freedom, refusing to become an internal member. She scoffed at his assumption that it was easy to become an internal member and tossed something toward him, stating that the Bloodblade Alliance never limited the freedom of external members. Since he had agreed to join, she handed him the Black Iron badge. Jiang Han caught it, surprised that Black Iron was the lowest rank, and asked her about her rank. She replied that she was an internal member, ranked Red Copper. He thought to himself that a rank 1 Marquis of Martial Arts was only in the Red Copper rank, wondering how powerful the people in the final 4 ranks must be. She stood up, asking if he now understood the value of his identity as a Black Iron member, noting that even Grandmasters would think twice when they saw that he was a Black Iron member. He gave her a thumbs up, accepting the Black Iron badge. She informed him that there were branches of the Bloodblade Alliance in many cities within the Tianwu Empire, and instructed him to register at one of them to officially become a member. As she left, she hoped he understood just how lucky he was. Watching her depart, Jiang Han thought she was quick and examined the card, realizing it was an abundant harvest. However, he could not move the black-scaled Emperor Dragon body at that moment, and decided to leave it behind. As he stepped out of the chamber, he found a bear waiting for him, which roared, expressing its surprise at his return. Jiang Han was shocked and immediately started running. Jiang Han roared at the bear, instilling fear in it as he patted its head, commanding it to watch the entrance and not let any other Yuan beasts or humans enter, or he would kill it. The bear, obedient and pleased, made a happy sound as Jiang Han ran off. A few days later, while searching for soul-type elixirs around the mountains, he began practicing the Breeze Shadow Steps. Whenever he encountered Yuan beasts below level 2 rank 2, he eagerly employed his ninefold returning Yuan blade technique. On the 4th day, he finally discovered a yin-yang heavenly primordial flower beneath the maw of a ringed sky-splitting python, a formidable level 2 rank 7 Yuan beast. After absorbing the python's core, he broke through to rank 2 in the Pulse Invigoration realm. As he held the herb, he thought to himself that he was quite lucky. Once he returned and refined it into a pill, he could suppress the injuries his soul had sustained and cultivate his soul again. Among martial artists, soul masters who cultivated the soul were the rarest. Soul masters could use their souls to control objects, granting them a telekinetic ability that was difficult to defend against. Some powerful soul masters could even employ mind control to induce hallucinations. Standing there, he mused that not even his father-in-law, the city lord, understood this type of cultivation. This could become another trump card for him. he decided it was time to go back. As he started running, his attention was drawn to a group of people nearby, discussing where they thought that rascal had run off to. They speculated about his fate in the inner circle, mentioning that the ninth master had gone mad and insisted on seeing him, dead or alive. One of them lamented that if he died, Yanrishua would become a widow and would be so lonely. Another person joked that if he could sleep with her, he would be willing to give up 10 years of his life. Jiang Han's anger flared as he hid behind a tree, listening to their conversation. One person remarked that even without sacrificing 10 years, she could suffocate someone with her thighs. Enraged, Jiang Han unleashed his power, blasting the tree, which shocked the group. They asked who it was, and Jiang Han, now fully powered, greeted them, saying it was a nice day for a hike. One of the group members recognized him and laughed, calling it a pleasant surprise. Another warned to be careful, noting that he seemed prepared. A third member scoffed, questioning what tricks he could possibly have, stating that the ninth master had said Jiang Han only had rank 9 focus energy, while even Brother Scar was at rank 8. They wondered why they should fear him, given their numbers. Jiang Han asked how many of them there were, and as the ground trembled around him, one person arrogantly replied that they were surrounding him and he was still acting arrogantly. They dismissed him as just a guy with rank 9 focus energy pretending to be a grandmaster. Jiang Han, undeterred, charged at them, declaring that they left him no choice and that he had originally wanted to leave their corpses intact. He dashed through them with his sword, moving so fast that they thought he was a blur. In an instant, he cut one man in several places, and as he stopped, his sword dripping with blood, he warned the rest that he would just cut them into 3 pieces. The onlookers were terrified, and one man exclaimed that Jiang Han's energy was not at rank 9 at all. He was on the verge of entering the pulse invigoration realm. They quickly decided to send a signal for help, while another member urged caution and to get into formation. Jiang Han, however, was unfazed, cutting through them with ease. As he dispatched them, one terrified individual fell to the ground, crying and pleading for his life, promising to tell Jiang Han everything. He revealed that the ninth master had sent 100 men, splitting them into groups of 10 to surround him. As something fell to the ground, Jiang Han picked it up, stating he did not need that anymore, only to need this. He slashed the man's face, who screamed in horror as he looked at the thing in Jiang Han's hand, realizing the fire had begun to ignite above him. Jiang Han declared that the hunt had begun. As Jiang Han removed the cap, fireworks erupted, and those nearby exclaimed that it seemed someone had found him. Everyone began running toward the fireworks' destination, laughing and shouting, hurrying to the scene, with one person mocking the others for their inability to take down a guy with rank 9 focus energy. Jiang Han, amidst the chaos, was cutting off heads, and one of his victims managed to gasp out a count of 2. That night, the prey became the hunter, and the Black Rock Mountains turned crimson with blood. Jiang Han, with his bloody sword, wrote the numbers 8, 9, and 90 on a page, declaring that he needed 10 more to go and wondered where they were hiding. He had already killed 90 people and was moving on when he saw a person running toward another, screaming in panic that this was bad. The other teams had been annihilated. As everyone listened, one person shouted in disbelief, while another, with confidence, reassured them that they were not like the other teams and had a trump card. The 8th master and a bigwig were ambushing Yanrishue, and they should guard the mountain's entrance. One person remarked that if they could capture Yanrishue, they would be guaranteed a good time. Suddenly, a sword pierced through a body, shocking the person in front as Jiang Han appeared, demanding to know if they had said 2 of their masters were ambushing his wife. The atmosphere grew tense as everyone prepared for a confrontation, and one of them taunted Jiang Han, suggesting he should ask his wife in the afterlife. The person holding a stone crunched it, gaining power, and Jiang Han charged at him, questioning if he really thought he could kill him with the strength-boosting pill. In response, he began beating the man, demanding to know where his wife was and who the master he was talking about was. The injured man, coughing, replied that his lips were sealed, but he acknowledged Jiang Han's strength, admitting that when they told Yanrishue he was captured, she had led 10 men and left the city. He laughed, cruelly stating it was a pity she was about to be turned into a whore all for a piece of garbage like Jiang Han. As the man coughed, Jiang Han's anger flared, and he slammed the man's face into the ground, standing up and declaring that they had successfully pissed him off, with 100 men killed overnight. The scene shifted to where Jiang Han's soldiers lay dead on the floor, and Yanrishue, injured, was pointing her sword at someone, trying to fend them off. The person taunted her, saying there was no point in resisting and that he just wanted to show her around. She demanded to know if Jiang Han was at the Zhang residence, revealing that the Zhang family was colluding with mountain bandits and threatening him with death. The man raised his hand dismissively, claiming she was jesting, and stated that the Black Wind was part of the Zhang family's business. He introduced himself as Zhang Dong, a rank 4 in the Pulse Invigoration realm, boasting that his men had been sharpening their spears for a long time. Yanrishue, with her left hand, stood in front of her soldiers, ready to fight against the 100 men commanded by the man, who ordered them to take down Yanrishue, promising that everyone would get to test their spear techniques on her that night. As Yanrishue prepared for battle, she thought of Jiang Han, vowing that she would rescue him, even if it meant sacrificing her own life. As Yanrishue began moving her sword, she declared that she would kill anyone who got close. The approaching bandits were filled with fear, and the main man remarked that he hadn't expected Miss Yan's cultivation to advance so quickly. She had already reached rank 5 in the Pulse Invigoration realm. He sneered, stating that Jiang Han was a traitor to the Jiang family, and even if his cultivation had improved, he didn't even possess rank 9 focus energy. He questioned why she would go through so much trouble for someone unworthy. Yanrishue retorted that none of them had the right to comment on her husband. The man continued, wondering how Jiang Han had gotten so lucky to have the most beautiful woman in Piaoshua's city be so protective of him. However, he reminded her that there were still 300 bandits present, and challenged her to see how long she could last. He then ordered his men to stop standing around, claiming her strength had been depleted and instructing them not to give her time to rest. One man stepped forward to fight her, rallying his comrades and warning them not to be too rough with her, insisting they shouldn't hurt her perfect body because they would all have fun with her later. He swung his sword at her, but she blocked it with her own, struggling against the onslaught. The man taunted her, saying that Jiang Han had been killed by his comrades and urged her to surrender to see how strong his spear could be. Yan Rishua was jolted by the news, exclaiming, "He's dead?" With a surge of force, she pushed him away, vowing to kill all of them. The man laughed, mocking her feelings for Jiang Han and promising to make her feel good. The main man, smirking, remarked that he hadn't expected her to feel so much affection for Jiang Han. He added that once they forced the city lord, Yan Rishua's father, to hand over the city lord's seal, they would send her to accompany her husband in the underworld. But first, they would see how well she could handle the Black Wind's spear techniques. As she glared at him, a voice suddenly interrupted, proclaiming that before one raised their blade, the clouds would dissipate, and they would see a saint. Once the blade was raised, the mountains would crumble, and the oceans would be subdued. Everyone turned, asking who was there, and Jiang Han emerged from the shadows, declaring that anyone who dared to hurt his wife wouldn't live to see tomorrow. Shocked gasps filled the air as they recognized him, and Yan Rishua's emotions surged as she exclaimed, "You're alive?" Jiang Han confidently replied that he could not die so easily. The person who could kill him hadn't been born yet. As he stepped forward, one of the men wondered how Jiang Han had managed to escape. Jiang Han's gaze locked onto the main man, who felt a chill at the terrifying expression on Jiang Han's face. Yan Rishua screamed from behind, urging him to flee if he was alive, questioning why he had come back just to die. He responded that he would be wherever his wife was, insisting that what kind of husband would run away while his wife fought for him. Surprised, she blushed and thought to herself what a smooth talker he was. The main man, furious, shouted at his men, demanding to know what they were standing around for and if they had come to watch the couple flirt. He ordered them to take Jiang Han down now. As one man charged forward with a large sword, he declared that since Jiang Han had shown himself, he would be taking his head. Another man shouted to follow the ninth master and kill him. He surrounded, Yan Rishua shouted, urging Jiang Han to run. Jiang Han, drawing his sword, replied that she should protect herself and not worry about him. With a single swipe of his sword, he sent the attackers flying through the air, declaring that they were the ones surrounded by him. The man with the big sword charged at him, claiming Jiang Han was lucky to have escaped the siege of 100 men, but now he must die. Jiang Han stopped the attack with his sword, smirking as he asked if the man couldn't tell what was happening. Confused, the main man realized Jiang Han had achieved rank 2 in the Pulse Invigoration realm. Panic spread among the bandits as another man warned that this was bad and urged Old Nine to back down. The shock of Jiang Han's power left the man fighting him bewildered, and Jiang Han taunted him, stating he had killed all 100 of them. The man, in disbelief, coughed blood and fell to the ground, prompting a comrade to rush to his side in panic, calling out for Old Nine. Enraged, Old Nine vowed to kill Jiang Han and unleashed a red flame spear at him. Jiang Han, using his breeze shadow steps, deftly avoided the attack, leaving the man bewildered as he shouted, "Where did he go?" In an instant, Jiang Han cut him down, and as blood spilled, the man fell to the ground, whispering in disbelief. Jiang Han remarked that his spear didn't work that well. The main man, witnessing Jiang Han's power, thought about how this kid had grown so fast. It had only been a month since he had risen from rank 7 focus energy to rank 2 pulse invigoration. He realized Jiang Han was quite the threat and that he had to kill him, or he might interfere with the Zhang family's plans. The other bandits raised their swords, shouting to kill him, and the main man smirked, promising that whoever killed Jiang Han would be the first to sleep with Yan Rishua. They all charged at Jiang Han, and Yan Rishua, panicked, tried to run to save him, but her soldiers held her back, insisting she couldn't go. They suggested taking the opportunity to report back, but Yan Rishua yanked her hand away, screaming that there were 300 mountain bandits, and how could he possibly defeat them all alone. She declared she would be wherever he was and ordered them to report back to the city lord's mansion on their own. As the bandits closed in on Jiang Han, he warned them to be grateful, activating his dragon power. He roared so loudly that panic spread among everyone present, with cries of confusion filling the air. Jiang Han soared into the sky with his dragon wings, shocking everyone as he proclaimed that he would give them a painless death. Yan Rishua and her soldiers were stunned, and one soldier whispered that he had reached rank 7 in the Pulse Invigoration realm. The main man, realizing the implications, recalled the long-standing rumors of the Jiang family possessing the ancient dragon bloodline, never believing them to be true. He concluded they had to kill Jiang Han but would need to use a different method. Jiang Han, descending to finish them off, declared he was just getting started. The bandits, now terrified, screamed to run, realizing there was no way they could defeat him, calling him a monster. As they panicked, the ground cracked beneath Jiang Han's power, and he exterminated all 300 mountain bandits completely. Blood dripped from his hands as he surveyed the scene, and he called out for Yan Rishua. Suddenly, someone screamed from the top of the mountains, declaring it was either Jiang Han's life or hers. The main man, holding Yan Rishua, shouted in anger for Jiang Han to pick one. Jiang Han, filled with rage, warned him not to dare, realizing that the man was holding a life-ending blood-bursting pill. Jiang Han declared that the life-ending pill burned the blood essence, questioning how long the man could endure it, even if it allowed him to break through to rank 9 in the Pulse Invigoration realm. The man screamed back that it would be enough if he could endure it long enough to kill Jiang Han. He revealed that he had once been a beggar, and without the Zhang family, he wouldn't be here today. He considered this his way of repaying their kindness. Yan Rishua shouted to Jiang Han to leave her be, insisting they wanted the city lord's seal and that they couldn't kill her. The man threw her down, and she closed her eyes in fear. Jiang Han screamed her name, rushing to catch her, but from behind, the man struck at his wings, taunting him that this woman was his weakness. Jiang Han felt the pain of the attack, realizing the man had managed to break through his dragon scales defense, wielding the power of rank 9 in the pulse invigoration realm. He safely landed Yan Rishua and stood tall, facing the man who declared that now Jiang Han couldn't fly and that he would kill him for the Jiang family. Jiang Han drew his sword, challenging him to bring it on. As they clashed, the man attacked with all his might, and Jiang Han thought to himself that the man was incredibly strong, but he just had to hold on. The man mocked him, suggesting that this was all the ancient dragon bloodline had to offer. They exchanged blows, and Jiang Han struggled to keep up, thinking about how much longer he could endure this fight. One powerful stroke from the man sent Jiang Han flying, blood spilling from his body. The man reveled in the thought of reuniting with the old patriarch of the family without regrets. Jiang Han fell to the ground, realizing the situation was dire, but Yan Rishua rushed to confront the man, vowing not to let him kill Jiang Han. The man attacked her, and she was hit hard, sending her flying away. Jiang Han's anger surged at the sight, and he got up to attack the man, who taunted him about being on the verge of death and questioned why he kept struggling. Jiang Han unleashed the second strike of the ninefold returning Yuan blade, splitting the man's body in two. The man was shocked, exclaiming how could this be possible. A soldier watching from afar was stunned, thinking Jiang Han had killed someone with rank 9 pulse invigoration with a single slash, wondering if this was a dream. Yan Rishua ran to Jiang Han, expressing her concern as he reassured her that she had done well and that he never thought she would put herself at risk for him. As he looked at his torn clothes, she insisted they find him something to wear. Jiang Han worried that she might think he was trying to be a pervert, but the soldiers confirmed they would help. Feeling cheesy, he complimented her, calling her the best wifey, and thought to himself that maybe she was finally accepting him. However, she punched him, insisting he not be mistaken, saying he just looked like a pervert now. Jiang Han realized they still had a long way to go. As they rode back on horseback, he held her waist, lamenting that his wounds were too serious, but he couldn't help but admire her steady and rhythmic riding skills. She told him to sit properly, but he coughed, claiming he couldn't sit properly due to his injuries. When they arrived, Xiang welcomed them, and Jiang Han got off the horse, feeling pain as Yan Rishua instructed them to take good care of him. She was going to see her father and told him to return to his room to get his wounds treated, warning him not to push himself too much, or no one would come to collect his corpse. Jiang Han thought it was surprising how quickly her attitude had changed. As he walked with Xiang, he teased her about waiting for him to return every day and asked if she was eager to climb into his bed. She boldly challenged him, asking if he dared to let her on his bed. Jiang Han's eyes widened, and he quickly walked away, asking her to help him get a cauldron ready for healing his wounds in his room, promising they would talk about the rest later. Xiang ran after him, asking if he was hurt and if he needed her to take a look. Jiang Han panicked internally, thinking he couldn't flirt with that little brat anymore. The scene shifted to his room, where Jiang Han was using the yin-yang heavenly primordial flower. He refined 3 yin-yang heavenly primordial pills, and the powerful medicinal energy enveloped his soul source, nourishing it little by little. The heavenly green lotus magic soul spell began to work, and Jiang Han gradually entered a state of wonderful imagination. With his eyes closed, he thought he could finally try this method of astral projection. With his current level of soul power, he estimated it to be at level 2 rank 9, putting him on par with the peak of the pulse invigoration realm. He reflected on the past when he had been imprisoned in the mud ball palace by those people at Yanqingqing, forced to cultivate in secret, feeling suffocated. Now, he could roam freely. However, he lamented that at level 2 rank 9, he could only project a mile away from his physical body. If he reached peak level 7, he could extend that distance to 1,000 miles, which would be exhilarating. As he flew through the air, he stopped near Xiang's room, wondering if she had fallen asleep. He decided to take a look. Using his power, he half-teleported through the gate into her room, taking in her figure from head to toe. He thought to himself that he couldn't take it. This brat was going to make him lose control. Coughing, he decided he should check on Yan Rishua next, wondering if she slept in the same way. If she caught a cold, he would be heartbroken. As he reached Yan Rishua, he found her sitting and reading a book. Observing her, he thought it was strange how flustered she looked while reading about military techniques. Suddenly, her eyes widened as Jiang Han reached under the table, glancing at the book she was reading, and he was taken aback. Wasn't this an explicit adult book? Yan Rishua read books like that? Jiang Han was watching Yan Rishua as she sat quietly, lost in thought, and he couldn't help but admire her beauty, particularly her long legs. Yan Rishua, engrossed in her book, found the situation quite interesting. As Jiang Han observed her innocence, he remarked that she had finished reading so soon, expressing his desire to see more of her. Yan Rishua, aware that dawn was approaching, began to leave, prompting Jiang Han to gaze at her from behind, marveling at his wife's beautiful body and feeling a surge of excitement. However, just as he was about to act on his feelings, he suddenly felt a wave of confusion wash over him, realizing that his soul power was running low at such a crucial moment. Yan Rishua, sensing the shift, looked back at him, puzzled by his sudden change in demeanor. The scene shifted to Jiang Han waking up in his room, where he found Xiang standing beside him, her expression filled with concern as she exclaimed that she was relieved he was finally awake, fearing something had happened to him. Jiang Han, feeling annoyed, thought to himself that he needed just a little more time. Xiang, noticing his gaze, asked if he was upset with her and what she had done wrong. Jiang Han, dismissing her concerns, decided to forgive her but imposed a peculiar punishment, declaring that she was not allowed to wear clothes to bed anymore. Xian, confused, questioned the logic behind his punishment, but Jiang Han remained silent, leaving her in a state of bewilderment. The next day, as he opened the door, he saw Yan Ruxue approaching him, and he recognized her immediately. She informed him that she would accompany him to the Jiang household, explaining that his sister was looking for him and wanted him to return to take accountability for his actions. Jiang Han, taken aback by the mention of his sister, recalled a painful memory from his childhood. He remembered being surrounded by a group of kids who were laughing and using him as a punching bag, taunting him and calling him a crybaby. Just then, a girl's voice pierced through the laughter, shouting at the boys to run away. The children scattered, terrified at the mention of Jiang Han's sister. She approached him, her fierce demeanor softening as she placed a hand on his head, assuring him that it was just a scratch and that he should not be afraid. She reminded him that only she was allowed to beat him up, and no one else could touch him. Jiang Han, feeling emotional, agreed, but he couldn't help but cry, prompting her to scold him for his tears. He protested that her punches hurt more than the others, and as he was lost in this memory, he was jolted back to reality, reflecting on how 5 years ago, Jiang Chan had left to cultivate in the imperial capital. Unfortunately, the original Jiang Han had not been able to wait for his sister to return and protect him from the trials that awaited him. Jiang Han sat in the carriage with Yan Ruxue. She informed him that according to news from 2 days ago, the imperial city had sent people to Tianhe County, seemingly neglecting Piaoxue's city. Jiang Han responded that it was good for them to make trips, but the journey from the county lord's mansion took a long time, and they needed to hurry up and grow stronger. They had to eliminate pests like the Zhang family and the Lin family as well. Yan Ruxue agreed, noting that the Zhang family had suddenly become lawful after a few days, but unfortunately, Zhang Dong had taken the evidence to the grave. Jiang Han suggested that there was no rush, as he believed that Black Wind and the Zhang family had an extraordinary relationship, indicating the need for a more intricate plan. Suddenly, he asked why they were not riding horses that day, complimenting her riding skills as spectacular. Yan Ruxue flinched at his comment, calling him a pervert. As he got down from the carriage and walked ahead of her, he thought it was not a good thing to know too much. Upon reaching the Jiang residence, Yan Ruxue reassured him that if the Jiang family did not accept him, they could return to her city lord's mansion, stating that as long as the Yan family stood, he would always be her husband. Jiang Han remained silent for a moment before expressing his gratitude as they entered the residence. Upon seeing Jiang Han, the people around began to murmur, with one saying that Jiang Han still dared to return. Another questioned why he would, given that he was now the son-in-law of the city lord's mansion. Someone else remarked on his luck in marrying Yan Ruxue, while another noted that everything had been turned upside down and that the head of the house was beyond furious. Listening to this, Jiang Han felt anger rise within him, thinking about how his cheapskate father was truly mad that he was now someone else's son-in-law. He resolved to make it up to him next time. Suddenly, a man shouted at him, calling him a rascal and demanding to know how he dared to show his face around there. The man accused Jiang Han of flaunting his status as the city lord's son-in-law. Jiang Han, confused, asked what the man was talking about, explaining that he had returned because he realized his mistakes and came back to ask for forgiveness. The uncle scoffed at this, reminding him that he had stolen the family's pills and secrets, and not only had he become the city lord's son-in-law, but he had also betrayed the family and humiliated them, destroying their foundation. He ordered the servants to drag the traitor away, declaring that according to family rules, Jiang Han's cultivation would be abolished, his legs broken, and he would be imprisoned in darkness forever. As he listened to this, Jiang Han thought that his uncle was well prepared. His uncle, meanwhile, was plotting that even if he did not cripple Jiang Han today, he would force his brother to hand over the position of head of the family. Suddenly, Yan Ruxue stepped forward, boldly stating that she would like to see him try. She declared that since Jiang Han was now part of the Yan family, anyone who touched him would become the Yan family's enemy. The uncle, seeing her potential, thought that Yan Ruxue was still so young yet had already reached the rank of invigoration realm. Meanwhile, the uncle's son was seething with jealousy, thinking about how Jiang Han, that useless piece of trash, could possibly be qualified to marry such a beautiful and talented woman. He addressed Yan Ruxue, but she interrupted him, calling him insolent and demanding that he call her Madame Jiang. This infuriated him further, and he thought about who she thought she is. Jiang Han felt a surge of happiness. He thought to himself that his wife was amazing and that he loved the feeling of being protected. It was truly great. However, the uncle's son interrupted his thoughts, declaring that Madame Jiang, Jiang Han, had not obtained the family's consent to marry into the Yan family, and therefore, the marriage could be counted as invalid. He accused Jiang Han of betraying the Jiang family, insisting that family law must be enforced. Jiang Han, filled with anger, demanded clarity, asking what he meant by family consent and whose consent he should obtain first. The boy replied that he was talking about the head of the family, of course. Jiang Han, incredulous, asked if that meant his father did not agree with his marriage, pointing out that his father had been made so angry that he had fallen ill. How could he possibly agree? The uncle then warned Jiang Han that if he had even the slightest sense of filial piety, he would abolish his cultivation and surrender himself. Otherwise, he should not blame him for not showing mercy despite their relationship. Jiang Han, defiant, questioned what his uncle was going on about, asserting that he liked women and had never been in a relationship with an old man like him. He insisted that he wanted to see his father, and asked him directly if he consented or not. The uncle, growing impatient, threatened to have Jiang Han dragged away, thinking that the bastard had become so indolent. Suddenly, a voice rang out, shocking the uncle as it declared that someone had said he did not agree to the marriage. The voice continued, stating that regarding the marriage, he was very satisfied. The episode began with Jiang Han's father arriving, his presence commanding attention as he asked to see his daughter-in-law. All the soldiers bowed in respect, greeting him with a unified sir. Jiang Han's father, along with his sister, approached them, and Jiang Han bowed deeply, calling out to his father. Yan Rishua also greeted him, saying greetings father. As Jiang Han's father moved on, Jiang Han turned directly to Yan Rishua, expressing his admiration by saying she was beautiful and talented, remarking that he must have accumulated lifetimes of luck to marry her. Yan Rishua blushed slightly at the compliment, responding that he was flattering her, to which Jiang Han's father replied with a sigh, insisting that she should just call him dad, as father sounded too formal. Jiang Han, observing this exchange, thought to himself that he was the actual son here. Suddenly, someone grabbed Jiang Han by the collar, pulling him closer. His sister commanded him to come here. Jiang Han exclaimed sister. She teased him, saying so he still knew that he had a sister and that she thought he had forgotten about her. He replied happily that there was no way he could forget her, remembering how he had come over immediately when he heard she was back. She playfully elbowed him, saying she had not seen him in a few years and he had learned to be a sweet talker. No wonder he had such a pretty wife now. Pointing back at their uncle, she added that if that old man tried to cause trouble for him later, she would protect him. Jiang Han thanked her, but she warned him not to get too happy too soon, saying that when it was all over she would make sure to teach him a lesson. Jiang Han thought to himself that she was a demon. Meanwhile, Jiang Han's father was engaged in conversation with Yan Ruxue, while the uncle and his son watched, their anger simmering. Jiang Han's father remarked that perhaps Han's mother was watching over him from heaven, suggesting that they could pay their respects to her later. Suddenly, the uncle screamed in anger, addressing his brother, asking if he was just going to disregard the matter of Jiang Han stealing the pills even if he consented to their marriage. He questioned what would be done about the losses the Jiang family had faced because of him, insisting that he must be held accountable, and that he should explain himself, or none of them would forgive him. The crowd echoed his sentiments, shouting in agreement. Jiang Han's sister stepped forward, demanding to know what kind of explanation they wanted, remarking that it was just a recipe for medicine and that she could give them 10 or even 100 copies. Would that be enough? The uncle's son began to scream, declaring that Jiang Han was no longer part of the Jiang family, and that this was none of his business. He insisted that this was not about the medicine recipe but about the rules, and that clan rules could not be broken, accusing the uncle of trying to break the rules by showing favoritism. Jiang Han's sister retorted, saying if he wanted her to mind her own business, fine, but if he touched Jiang Han, she would kill him. The uncle's son laughed derisively, calling her a piece of garbage who hid behind women. Observing this from the back, Jiang Han thought that the boy was backing off and sensed that there was more to this which than met the eye. Jiang Han's father then addressed his brother, asking if he was truly disregarding family ties. The uncle replied that it was not about disregarding family ties. Jiang Han had broken the rules and therefore must be punished. The uncle's voice rose in anger as he continued to scream that Jiang Han's father had failed at teaching his child, yet was still trying to defend him. He questioned what right he had to be the head of the family. As his soldiers took out their swords, Jiang Han's father raised his hand to stop them, saying that the uncle should step down from his position as the head of the house. Jiang Han's father responded by asking if he was trying to incite a coup. The uncle retorted that he was doing this for the Jiang family, pointing out what the family had become under his brother's rule. He asked if he did not have a single shred of guilt, reminding him that Piaoshua's city was in danger. Jiang Han's father could not contain his frustration as he exclaimed that he could not just watch the Jiang family be destroyed. He demanded to know why his brother was acting this way, questioning if he understood how much effort he had put into recovering the Jiang family's losses. Suddenly, someone interjected, causing Jiang Han's father to widen his eyes in disbelief. It was the uncle's son, who boldly stated that because Jiang Han had joined the city lord's mansion, the Jiang family had enraged the county lord. He warned that Piaoshua's city could barely protect itself now and questioned how the Jiang family could survive after kicking the hornet's nest, urging them to use their brains. Jiang Han laughed at this, responding that it seemed they would rather roll over and become the Jiang family's mutts. He accused them of wanting to hand him over to please their owner, asserting that the Jiang family and the Jiang family were partners. He declared that once the Yan family fell, the Jiang family would become the third largest clan in Piaoshua's city. Jiang Han's father countered, asking if they did not know how heartless Zhang Guozhu was. He warned that if Zhang Guozhu gained control of Piaoshua's city, the Jiang family would have no place to stand. The uncle, however, insisted that it was better than being utterly destroyed by the county lord. He proposed that if they handed over their son in the position of head of the family quietly, they might spare their lives. Otherwise, he threatened to send Jiang Han's father to see his dead wife. Jiang Han's sister was ready to fight, but Jiang Han stopped her, noting that this was the first time he had seen someone so willing to be a dog, calling him a truly good dog. He added that no matter how eloquently the uncle's son spoke, he was still just a dog and not a human. The uncle's son, enraged, commanded the guards to get Jiang Han, declaring that he would force him to lick his shoes that day. Jiang Han, with a smile, drew his sword and remarked that he had come back to the Jiang family to smooth things over, but now it seemed that things were much simpler. As Jiang Han gripped his sword, he declared that it was much simpler to just kill someone than to talk things over. The uncle and his son were shocked, thinking that he wanted to kill them and questioning if his brain was alright. With his strength, who could he possibly kill? Jiang Han's sister, observing him, thought about how she had not seen this kid in 5 years and wondered just how much he had grown. Jiang Han's father stepped in front of him, urging him to back off, insisting that he was no match for them. Jiang Han reassured him that he knew his limits and that aside from Jiang Guozhu, they were really no match for him. The uncle's son scoffed, pointing out that Jiang Han was merely at rank 7 of the focus energy realm and asked if he really thought he was invincible. He boasted that anyone at the pulse invigoration level was nothing but an insect and that his father would not even need to make a move. He could crush Jiang Han easily, as he was at rank 3 of the pulse invigoration realm. Jiang Han's father warned him that Jiang Guozhu was a rank 6 martial master and that he was injured. Jiang Han's sister declared that with her there, no danger would come to her brother, adding that it would be good for him to experience some things himself too. Jiang Han assured them that he had a plan. Jiang Guozhu began to speak, but Jiang Han interrupted, turning his face back and taunting him by asking if he heard a dog barking. As Guozhu lunged to hit him, shouting "Die!" Jiang Han observed that when these people fought, they liked to show off how imposing they could be, noting it was a weird habit. A soldier watching exclaimed that the young master was so strong, questioning if Jiang Han was so shocked that he could not move. Jiang Han swiftly took out his sword and, in a second, cut off Jiang Guozhu's arms, sending him flying away while screaming. His father caught him, exclaiming, "My son, Jiang Han, you scum." Jiang Guozhu, injured, vowed to kill him, while his father warned Jiang Han that he had been hiding his true strength and was now at rank 2 of the pulse invigoration realm. He urged Jiang Han not to fight anymore, but Jiang Guozhu, holding a spear, charged at him, declaring that even if he had lost an arm, he could still kill him. Jiang Han smirked, stating that he had already given him a chance and lamenting that it was a shame he did not know how to cherish it. Jiang Han then unleashed his king-fold returning yuan blade for the first strike. The uncle rushed to stop him, but it was too late. Jiang Han cut him down. Seeing this, the uncle became furious, shouting, "My son." He charged at Jiang Han with full strength, but Jiang Han managed to stop his punch with his sword, thinking about the immense strength behind it. The uncle hit Jiang Han so hard that he fell down, prompting his sister to scream "Brother." Yan Rishue also cried out Jiang Han's name. Jiang Han's sister rushed to him, asking if he was okay, to which he replied that he was fine and would not die. As he started to cough, blood trickled from his nose, and he glanced at his sister's chest, thinking about how one could resist this. That punch was worth it. Yan Rishue became furious, realizing that one Xiang was already enough trouble, and now there was one more. The uncle, seeing his son's face, commanded that they kill Jiang Han, promising 10,000 gold coins to whoever succeeded. All the soldiers rushed to kill him, with 2 of them being at rank 7 and rank 8 of the pulse invigoration realm, affirming that they understood the task. Jiang Han's sister stood her ground, declaring that she would not spare the lives of traitors. In an instant, one soldier was cut down with immense power, while another found Jiang Han digging his sharp dragon nail into his body, hanging on as he died, while the other lay on the floor. Jiang Han's father thought about the ancient dragon bloodline. Jiang Han then asked who was next. The soldiers of the uncle murmured about the ancient dragon bloodline, with one stating that it was not a myth, after all. The uncle, sweating, questioned how this was possible. Jiang Han's sister was also shocked, while their father proclaimed that Honor had managed to awaken the ancient dragon bloodline that the Jiang family had been blessed with. He expressed his excitement, stating that this was great and that if they put down their weapons, they would soar. As they witnessed Jiang Han's power, one soldier lamented that they had sinned, declaring that the ancient dragon had appeared and that the Jiang family would prosper. Jiang Han smiled, thinking about the extraordinary status of the ancient dragon bloodline within the Jiang family. Jiang Han used the Mai-fold returning Yuan's second stroke. His uncle also unleashed his power, creating a fierce clash between them. Both were giving their full strength, and Jiang Han was having a hard time, questioning if this was his limit. In a moment of desperation, he felt as if he was about to give up, and he went straight for a stone, bracing himself for the impact. The uncle charged at Jiang Han, intent on delivering a fatal blow, but Jiang Han thought quickly. Just then, his sister rushed in to save him, and Yan Rishue shouted his name, calling out, "Jiang Han!" As Jiang Han stood up, preparing to use his technique, the uncle was about to strike him down. However, from behind, his sister used her power to bind the uncle, declaring that he was not allowed to kill him. The threads of her energy tightened around him, effectively immobilizing him. Jiang Han, witnessing her display of strength, realized that she was only 18 and already a rank 9 martial master. He marveled at her power, thinking that this lady was incredibly strong. As he approached his sister, Yan Rishue watched them from the BAC. And with Jiang Han standing beside his father, who gazed solemnly at his brother's lifeless body. His father instructed him to bury the body, his voice heavy with grief as he explained that this tragedy was all caused by their grandfather. He revealed that their grandfather had always looked down on his brother, holding a grudge for decades and wanting to prove himself, yet he had always remained loyal to the Jiang family. Jiang Han nodded, understanding the weight of his father's words. He could feel the murderous intent that had once consumed him weakening significantly. It was a pity, he thought, that his brother had not taught his son the right path. Suddenly, his sister grabbed him by the neck and pulled him toward her, teasingly saying that he was all grown up now and commenting on his abs as she touched him. He protested that he was not a kid anymore and could change his clothes himself, urging her to stop touching him. Yan Rishue, witnessing this interaction, felt a pang of jealousy. Jiang Han's father turned to Yan Rishue, saying that there was something he would like to speak to her about. She replied affirmatively, but her mind was still on Jiang Han. His father continued, stating that he had no problem with Jiang Han entering their family. However, now that Jiang Han had awakened the ancient dragon bloodline, he would not let him go that easily. Yan Rishue bowed her head, saying that she understood. She added that when she returned, she would tell her father to abolish Jiang Han's title as the Yan family's son-in-law and hold the wedding again. Her father interjected that there was no need for that. He clarified that he had nothing against Jiang Han being their family's son-in-law. Confused, she asked what he meant. He explained that he wanted her and Jiang Han to have 2 sons. One could have the Yan family's surname, and the other could have the Jiang family's surname. He asked if she could promise him that. Blushing, she agreed, saying that her first son would have the Jiang surname instead of the Yan surname. Her father expressed his approval, stating that with a daughter-in-law like her, Jiang Han's mother would have been very happy too. He reminisced about Jiang Han since he was a kid. She reassured him not to worry. Just then, Jiang Han chimed in that he would work hard to give them 2 grandkids in 3 years. He held Yan Rishue's hand, adding that those were his father's wishes and that they would have to do their best to fulfill them. She agreed, but as they exchanged glances, she murmured that she was only agreeing to this in front of his dad and that they would talk about it when they got back. Jiang Han thought to himself that it did not matter how he got her. He was now one step closer to his goal. His sister then interjected that their father had been there for too long and that there was still poison in his body. She suggested that he go and talk to Han inside. Jiang Han and Yan Rishue exchanged confused looks, and Jiang Han asked how his father had gotten poisoned. His father sighed and explained that on the day Jiang Han left the family, he had gone looking for him. He did not think he would encounter the Black Wind's boss, Viper. He had been harmed by Viper's poison but managed to escape with his life, otherwise he would have been killed. Jiang Han frowned, expressing concern about the Black Wind again. His father cautioned him not to be rash. He explained that although the head of Black Wind was just a rank 7 martial master, he was very proficient with poison and could even kill a rank 9 martial master. He added that Viper's 8 sworn brothers were extremely powerful as well. Under his leadership, the Black Wind now had over 1,000 bandits, making it no small force. Jiang Han held his father's shoulder, assuring him that he was aware of all this. He declared that everyone in the Black Wind must die one day. As for the right brother, only 6 of them were left. His father asked if that was true. Jiang Han confirmed that he had killed them. The scene began in the pharmacy, where Jiang Han's father was holding a flame medication, the fire flickering in his hand. Jiang Han observed this and noted that the poison was gone. His father responded that his cultivation had returned as well. He started handing Jiang Han books and bottles, Jiang Han explaining that this technique suited him and that the rank 4 pill recipe was quite good too. He continued to pass along many books and bottles, mentioning that there were pills he had refined himself, which were much more effective. Just then, Jiang Han's sister entered, seeing their father and exclaiming that he had spoiled Jiang Han too much. She showed a box and lamented that she had not even had the chance to give her gifts to him yet, concluding that he would not be needing her gifts anymore. Their father looked at Jiang Han, who nervously mentioned that he had discovered the base of a peerless powerhouse beneath the cliffs of the Black Rock Mountains. His father laughed and suggested that perhaps he could take a look to see if it would be of use to the Jiang family. Jiang Han's father asked if he was really that lucky. Jiang Han's sister remarked that now that Hana was so capable, she could return to the imperial capital in peace. Jiang Han asked if she was leaving now, to which she replied, questioning if he was unwilling to see her go. She held Jiang Han's face and teased him about which part of her he would miss, showing off her legs and waist. Blushing, he stammered that he would miss all of it, thinking to himself that she should slow down a little. He then asked if she would not satisfy him, to which she replied that it was better to leave him wanting more and instructed him to be a good boy and wait for her return. As she prepared to leave, Jiang Han felt a pang of sadness, thinking about his childhood sweetheart. The scene changed as she jumped onto a tree, and the same man appeared behind her, saying that it was time to go. She agreed, standing up and reflecting that her world was a lonely one, so she would not drag him into it. The scene shifted back to Jiang Han, who stepped away, contemplating that it was about time the Jiang family and the Lin family repaid their debts. The setting changed to a bustling market, where a shopkeeper announced new pills for sale at a low price for a limited time only, emphasizing that it was first come, first served. The crowd erupted with excitement, with people shouting that they wanted the pills and insisting they had arrived first, urging others to move aside and not cut the queue. Suddenly, someone slammed their hand on the table, declaring that the Jiang family had gone out of line. Lin Yue, observing the crowd, turned to her father and questioned how the Jiang family could have so many new pills and why they were selling them at such a low price. She wondered if they were deceiving the public. She thought about how they had dominated the market after acquiring the medicine recipe from Jiang Han and forcefully monopolizing the Jiang family's supply of medicinal materials. She was frustrated that they could lose their advantage so easily. Her father reassured her that he had checked the pills and confirmed their quality was excellent. He noted that such an effective pill recipe with a high pill rate could even be considered the best. In anger, he hit the table and expressed that if they did not turn the tables, all the medicinal materials they had hoarded would just rot. He warned that not only would they lose the market, but they would also lose their savings. Lin Yue asked what they should do. Her father replied that seeing how the Jiang family was being so flashy, the Jiang family would probably take action in the next few days. He reminded her that as long as the marriage contract existed, they would still have a way out, and cautioned her not to let Jiang Han touch her. Lin Yue assured him that she understood and would just keep teasing him. Suddenly, someone laughed from outside, asking if Lin Yue was feeling frustrated over the matter of the pills. It was Zhang Heng's father, who approached Lin and asked if he had a plan. Lin replied that they would have to ask his son. Zhang Heng then came over to Lin Yue, boasting that his eldest brother was amazing, having only been in Sky Wind Academy for 3 years and already becoming a martial master. Lin Yue expressed her surprise, asking if he was really a martial master at 22. Zhang Heng confirmed this, proudly stating that his brother was the one who helped him reach the rank 2 pulse invigoration realm. From behind, Zhang Heng's elder brother interjected, claiming he had a plan that would ensure the Jiang family could never rise again, even going so far as to almost annihilate the Jiang family completely. The scene shifted back to Jiang Han, who was shouting at soldiers holding heavy stones in a squat position. He had come with Hunter, announcing that whoever could not hold on would be his sparring partner that night. The soldier screamed in fear, he exclaiming that he would rather die from exhaustion than be Jiang Han's sparring partner. The soldiers thought the situation was terrifying. Suddenly, someone called out that they had news. A soldier bowed to Jiang Han while he was having his tea, prompting him to say to speak. The soldier reported that it was just as Jiang Han had predicted. After the people from the Zhang family left the Lin family's place, they began sending people to buy and hoard the pills under various disguises. Jiang Han took a sip of his tea and remarked that the huge bait had not gone to waste. He wondered how much money they had spent on this, noting that it was too little and that the next plan involving his black armored dragon army would have to be delayed. The soldier informed him that out of 300 people in the black armored dragon army, there were 130 at rank 9, 12 at rank 1 pulse invigoration realm, and 1 at rank 2 pulse invigoration realm, which was already exceptional for a troop. Jiang Han questioned how many months had passed, expressing frustration that they had spent 70,000 gold coins yet still had more than 100 people who had not reached the 9th rank. He berated them, asking if they were all trash. The scene shifted back to where he was holding Hunter, instructing the soldiers that no one was allowed to sleep that day. He gave them 5 more days for everyone to reach the 9th rank and for more than 50 people to be in the pulse invigoration realm. He warned that otherwise they would all be his sparring partners collectively, and when that time came, he would be using his dragon form. The soldiers responded in unison that they understood. Jiang Han concluded that if the Zhang and Lin families dared to challenge them, he would like to see them try. At Tianda Inn, Jiang Han and his brother were looking outside through the window as Jiang Han said, "Brother, those fools from the Jiang family have accepted our orders. The person we planted at the Jiang residence reported that Jiang Tianhe is already assigning folks to make preparations to collect the herbs. As his brother said, it will go according to plan. The Black Wind will continue causing trouble along the way. This way, they will force Jiang Tianhe to make the trip himself. Send Yan Rixue an invitation to tonight's banquet. It will help her come to her senses. She can finally see which man is truly worthy of her attention." As Jiang Han rode on his horse, the horse stopped as he overheard some people talking about him, saying, "Useless Jiang Han, he is a mutt, he married a beauty but he has no luck in the bedroom. Jiang Feng Jiang, now he is a king. The beauties he sleeps with, praises they sing." As the soldier came holding the horse said there have been some rumors recently, Jiang Han got off the horse saying, "Ignore them. They will soon learn the consequences of offending me." As Jiang Han sighed and opened the door, he saw Yan Rishue's father and mother sitting on the throne as Yan Rishue's father looked at him in anger, saying 70,000 gold a month. Jiang Han smiled and said, "Father-in-law, mother-in-law, I am here to see you." Yan Rishue's mother said, "Hana, you have come. Why have you not been here in so long?" As he said, "I was worried that my father-in-law would feel upset if he saw me." As she said, "Ignore him." Yan Rishue's father said in anger, "This useless child, what kind of troops are you training? How could you spend 70,000 gold a month? If it were not for Shuang, I never would have agreed." As Jiang Han said in a cute way, "It is all thanks to you, mother-in-law, you have gotten prettier recently. If you went out with Yan Rishue, people would think that you are sisters." As Yan Rishue's mother laughed and said, "You flatter me, but do not tell this to outsiders, you will make them laugh." As Yan Rishue stood there seriously and said, "What a smooth talker." As Jiang Han thought, "Ever since we came back from the Jiang mansion, my wife has not been in a good mood." As Yan Rishue's father tapped on the table to get attention and said, "Honor, what are you planning to do about the Zhang and Lin families? Do you need us to take action? The Black Wind has been restless as well. Can the Jiang handle it?" As Jiang Han said, "Do not worry, father-in-law. Not only do I want the Jiang family to remain unharmed, but I will also use this opportunity to get rid of that cancerous tumor called the Black Wind." As Yan Rishue's father said, "There are still a lot of people in the Black Wind. We must leave at least 500 people to guard Piaoshue's city. I will let you command the remaining 2,500 soldiers." As he handed Jiang Han something saying, "Be careful, do not get defeated." As Yan Rishue bowed to her father and said, "When the time comes, I am willing to lead the army and fight those bandits to the death." As Jiang Han pushed that thing in Yan Rishue's father's hand saying, "You are too kind, father-in-law. However, I do not need that many soldiers. Rishue does not need to join the battle either. I just need to borrow 500 men in addition to my black armored dragon army." As he bowed saying, "I am not doing this for you. I am doing this for the Yan family. Your black armored dragon army has not even been training for that long. Will 300 men really be enough? Do not worry, father-in-law. You have spent so much money. I need to show you that your investment yields results. That way you will not toss and turn in your sleep and you will not tire out mother-in-law." As Yan Rishue's father got annoyed and said, "Go do what you have to do and stop bothering me." As Jiang Han was leaving, he said, "Then I will be leaving with Rishue now. In 5 days I am going to have to trouble you to play along with my little act as well." As Yan Rishue's father said from the back, "Got it, now go." As Jiang Han said, "I did not think that father-in-law would have such a cute side to him." As Yan Rishue said, "Why are you bringing me along?" As Jiang Han went near to Yan Rishue and said, "So you can give me a son." As she pushed him and said, "How improper." As Jiang Han said, all right, there is no rush, there are still other matters." As a soldier came kneeling down and offered an invitation saying, "Ma'am, the Zhang family sent an invitation." As Jiang Han took that from Yan Rishue's hand saying, "Be careful, maybe they poisoned the paper." As she thought, "I know that you just want to take a look." As Jiang Han read it and said, "Zhang Feng is inviting you to a banquet at Tianda Inn. Will you go?" As Yan Rishue said, "I am not interested in this sort of gathering, what about you?" As Jiang Han said, "I am going." Everyone is saying, "Useless Jiang Han, he is a mutt, he married a beauty but he is out of luck in the bedroom." As she said, "How could they say that?" As Jiang Han said, "They are telling the truth though." As she thought, "If it were not for me, with his capabilities he would not be going through this." As Jiang Han held her hand and said, "But for you, I can tolerate all this. But that Zhang Feng, that he wants to get you in his bed within a month. Since he dared to slander you, I will have to teach him a lesson. As she felt flattered thinking he is so caring. How can, she said, I will go with you to the banquet. As he took her hand saying, let us go, I have prepared a dress for you, she got confused as Jiang Han's plan worked. The scene changed to Tianda and where a lot of people were clapping and cheering saying, as expected of Mr. Zhang, he is truly a rank 1 martial master, he is so strong. As Zhang Feng showed them a trick of breaking a piece of wood as he bowed to the people saying, no, that was no big deal. Martial arts techniques should be used in real battles. The scene shifted to Jiang Han who was sitting with Lin Yue, saying to her, is not my brother amazing, Hu Yue, he can kill someone without even touching them. It is no wonder that he is the best in Piaoxue City. As she said, he is amazing indeed. As she thought, compared to Zhang Feng, Zhang Heng really is so much worse. As girls surrounded Zhang Feng saying, Mr. Zhang, I heard that you want to win over Yan Rushua within a month, is that true? Another girl said, I heard that Yan Rushua is still a virgin just waiting to be deflowered by you. As Zhang Feng said, of course, after all, how can a useless piece of crap like Jiang Han possibly suit the most beautiful woman in Piaoxue City? I, Zhang Feng, have to save her from her suffering. As one girl at the back said, the most beautiful woman can only be paired with the most talented man here. Who cares about that useless guy Jiang Han? Another girl said, Mr. Zhang, you are now a disciple at Skywind Academy. You are also a popular man by the county lord's side. You have a bright future ahead of you. Yan Rushua is used goods. How could she possibly be suited to be your wife? As the girl thought, even though the Li family is not among the 3 great families, we are still a wealthy family. I wonder if I stand a chance. As Zhang Feng said, you are overthinking it, Miss Li. I just said I wanted to save her. I did not say that I would give her a status of any kind. As all the girls laughed, someone suddenly said, I say it smells awful in here. It turns out it is a group of people gathered around eating shit. Suddenly everyone looked at that person saying, why is he here? As Zhang Feng looked at Jiang Han and screamed, you are the one eating shit Jiang Han. As Jiang Han said, if you are not eating shit, then why is your mouth so foul? As Yan Rushua stepped in, dressed beautifully, she looked stunning. As Zhang Feng said, I knew Yan Rushua was a beauty. When she dresses up like this, she looks even more gorgeous. As Zhang Feng said, her beauty is wasted on a piece of trash like Jiang Han. From the back, the girl who was jealous of her beauty said, damn it, why is she here? Jiang Han said, you dogs had better watch where you are looking. Do you think you deserve to look at my wife? As that girl said, oh, it is that useless guy from the Jiang family. Do you think you can act so arrogantly now that you have become the city lord's son-in-law? As Jiang Han walked to her and said, oh, it is you. As that girl said, you recognize me, good, my father is the Li family's patriarch, Li Hongxi. If you know what is good for you, you had better get lost. Suddenly a slash appeared across her face as Jiang Han cut her cheek making it bleed. All there screamed as Jiang Han said, now that look suits you better. As Jiang Han got angry and Zhang Feng watched from the back as Lin Yue sat trembling. A person screamed that Jiang Han had killed Xiang Yu and that the Li family would never forgive him, his voice revealing he was Nang Qing, a relative of the Zhang family. While Jiang Han responded with a smirk, saying that if he was a real man, he should avenge her himself instead of spouting useless words, but warned him that if he made a move, he should know he'd end up dead. Causing Nang Qing to laugh and shout for everyone to listen to Jiang Han's words, mocking that he was just an incompetent piece of trash with broken meridians who was daring to threaten him, cracking his fingers as he added that they should hurry and send Jiang Han to the underworld so he could make it in time to become Xiang Yu's dog, that it must be difficult to live as someone so useless, and that they should spare him the pain. When someone behind said they should go, and Jiang Han looked at them, scoffing that trash like them loved to talk. Just as a splatter of blood flew back onto the faces of the people behind Nang Qing, draining the color from their faces as Jiang Han punched so hard that his fist passed through Nang Qing's body and out again, leaving Nang Qing shocked as Jiang Han coldly stated that if he wanted to blame something, he should blame his rhyme for being too terrible and that he would teach him a new one, telling him to remember that Jiang Han was strong, 7 inches long, and had the best spear within Piaoxue City's walls. While the people behind Nang Qing held his body and screamed at Jiang Han that it was a sneak attack and that he was despicable, prompting Jiang Han to reply that Nang Qing was the one who wanted to fight, questioning why he was talking so much and why he should wait for him to be ready, then asking if they wanted to avenge him. As Zhang Feng thought to himself that Jiang Han didn't seem as incompetent as people said, although he could only use tricks like sneak attacks. But he hadn't expected Jiang Han's meridians to be recovered and recalled that the men from Black Wind who had ambushed Yan Rushua were also mysteriously slaughtered, suspecting that the Yan family might have found someone powerful to assist them and deciding he needed to investigate the matter when he returned. While Jing Feng asked Yan Rushua if there was some misunderstanding between them and whether it was inappropriate for her husband to be creating a ruckus. To which she replied that her husband had his reasons for doing what he did, and Jiang Han, thinking that his pitiful act was effective, believed his wife truly loved him, whereas Jing Feng, filled with anger, thought that once he destroyed the Yan family, he would make them kneel and lick his shoes, as Jiang Han, holding Yan Rushua's hand, told Mr. Zhang not to get angry and said he had prepared a gift for him, hoping it would be to his liking, and from the back, a person came with a box in hand. Opened it to reveal its contents, causing Jing Feng's eyes to widen as Jiang Han picked up the jade cards and said he heard that Jing Feng had many beautiful women in his private residence sorted by jade cards, asking if he had missed anyone, while the onlookers grew curious about what was happening, and Jing Feng asked what he had done, to which Jiang Han replied that with so many ladies, they must get lonely while their man was away, and that he had helped by sending them to the troops. As the soldiers holding ropes tied to the women's hands shouted that everyone had been working hard lately and Jiang Han had specially found these women to comfort them, causing the soldiers to cheer in excitement, chanting that all hail Jiang Han. as Jiang Han declared that his men were strong and energetic and that Jing Feng's women would be drowning in pleasure so he could rest assured, handing the cards to Jing Feng and asking if he was satisfied with the gift, which made Jing Feng shout in rage, demanding how Jiang Han dared to do this, but Jiang Han calmly reminded him that he had threatened to steal his wife within a month and had even created a children's rhyme to humiliate them, and that now he was just letting him taste what that felt like, adding that it was only fair, and that it was a shame Jing Feng did not have a wife, otherwise, as Jiang Feng remained silent, thinking he couldn't make a big deal out of this before the grand plan was complete but also couldn't let Jiang Han do as he pleased. While Jiang Han shouted that Jiang Han was playing with fire and ran toward him in anger to kill him, shouting that Jiang Han was too cocky, that he had laid his hands on the Jiang family and humiliated his brother, and that he should not think about leaving Tianda in alive. And Jiang Feng thought this was good, that now that Hunger's strength had increased, he would let him take care of this scumbag from the Jiang family, as Jiang Han casually moved to the side, dodging the attack, asking if Jiang Heng was trying to defend his brother, and Jiang Heng stopped and replied in anger that Jiang Han should not be too arrogant, that it was because he had underestimated him before that he had fallen into his trap, and now, with power surging, declared that he wanted Jiang Han to know he could kill him easily, as the crowd gasped that this was rank 2 pulse invigoration, shocked that the Jiang family had 2 geniuses. While Lin Yue thought that although Jiang Heng was not as strong as Jiang Feng, he was certainly stronger than this piece of trash, and Jiang Han replied that since he had broken through to rank 2 pulse invigoration, it made sense he dared to fight him now, but warned that he had always been bad at holding back, so Jiang Heng shouldn't blame him if he got hurt, as Jiang Heng activated Reckless Tiger Fist and called Jiang Han a mutt, charging with full power, and the onlookers marveled that it was a Grandmaster level technique, the Jiang family's house technique, with a punch so powerful it could turn Jiang Han into ground meat, while Jiang Heng roared that he would make Jiang Han suffer, thinking that he had been training hard for this day and had waited long enough, and Jiang Han, activating his power, intended to torture him to death. While Jiang Heng screamed that if Jiang Han dared to receive the blow head-on, he was a dead man, but Jiang Han calmly caught the punch with his hand, causing Jiang Heng to realize he was trapped. And Jiang Han raised his hand and mocked that he should listen to what his grandfather said, then smacked Jiang Heng's face so hard that he flew far away, coughing blood, as Jiang Han approached and stepped on Jiang Heng's face, asking mockingly if it hurt, prompting Jiang Feng to scream that if Jiang Han dared to touch his brother again, he would make him suffer, while Lin Yue, panicked, declared that if Jiang Han hurt her fiancé, she would vow to end his life, and Jiang Heng, defiant even while bloodied, shouted that his father and brother would never forgive Jiang Han, who laughed and asked if she vowed to end his life, then told her to try it as he stood up and used his second strike, altered, to crush Jiang Heng's face under his foot, splattering blood everywhere, while Jiang Feng watched in fury and shouted Jiang Han's name. Everywhere was silent as suddenly cups fell from someone's hands. It was Lin Yue, in shock, looking at Qing Heng's dead body. She said, "You human garbage, why can't you just behave yourself?" as she ran to slap Jiang Han, saying, "Why do you have to ruin my life over and over again?" Suddenly, Yan Rishue slapped her, saying, "He is my husband. If you want to touch him, you will have to get my permission." Lin Yue fell on the floor, saying, "Yan Rishue, you are the city lord's daughter. How could you allow your husband to kill as he pleases?" Yan Rishue said, "I am not speaking to you as the city lord's daughter right now. I am speaking as Jiang Han's wife. If you are not satisfied, feel free to make a move." Lin Yue got scared, saying, "Rank 7 pulse invigoration realm?" Jiang Han, seeing Yan Rishue, said, "She is getting better at flaunting her power now, as expected of my wife. She is just like me." Chen Feng came, saying, "Since power trumps all in Piaoxue City, none of you will leave Tianda in alive today." As the flame of his power roamed around the whole room, people covered themselves. They said, "What an incredibly strong aura. Is this Mr. Zhang's true strength? As expected of the top genius in Piaoxue City. Can Jiang Han withstand this?" Jiang Han said, "You are already 22 years old, yet you are just a rank 1 martial master. You dare call yourself the top genius of Piaoxue City, Jiang Feng? If I were you, I would be too ashamed to show myself." People around them got shocked, saying, "Rank 6 pulse invigoration? No wonder he could defeat Jiang Heng easily. Thank God I did not act impulsively." Lin Yue thought, wasn't he in rank 7 focus energy realm? Didn't he cut his own meridians so he couldn't continue cultivating? It's only been a month, and he's grown from having rank 7 focus energy to rank 6 pulse invigoration? What kind of talent does he possess? As she stretched her nails on the floor, thinking, then why did I choose Jiang Heng in the past? No, that's not right. The Jiang family is still more powerful. They are still much more useful to my family. I wasn't wrong. I still have a chance. Lin Yue spoke to Jing Feng, saying, "Brother, I will fight them." He stopped her, saying, "Do not be brash, sister-in-law. So what if he has rank 6 pulse invigoration? He is still no match for me." As she started crying on his arm, saying, "I hate that I do not have the power to seek revenge. I can only rely on you now. Hanger is my younger brother, so do not worry." Jiang Han said, "Hanger's blood is still warm, and you are already getting it on with each other? I have heard of inheriting one's father's business, but it is my first time seeing someone inherit their brother's wife." Jing Feng said in anger, "Do not make something out of nothing. Do not slander the pure relationship between me and my sister-in-law, you scum." As he activated his power and ran to kill Jiang Han, saying, "I will show you the real Reckless Tiger Fist." Jiang Han activated twofold returning Yuan Fist and thought, "I want to test the difference in strength in my non-dragon form." As they both attacked with their power, Jiang Han used his full strength, but Jing Feng was stronger. Jiang Han did not make it. He got hit to the wall so hard that the wall cracked. Zhang Feng said, how dare someone in the rank 6 pulse invigoration realm challenge a rank 1 martial master? Jiang Han stood up, saying, so this is the strength of a rank 1 martial master. As he cleaned his clothes, he said, Mr. Zhang, I am planning to open a massage parlor in the future. Would you like to be a masseuse? Zhang Feng got angry, saying, I want to see how many more punches you can take. Suddenly, a voice came, saying, hold it. As they turned towards the person, he said, Tienda Inn forbids private battles within its premises. Do you not know that? Zhang Feng bowed to him, saying, greetings, Senior C. He said, I had no intention of starting a fight. However, he killed someone from the Zhang family. He killed my brother. How can I possibly stand idly by after watching my flesh and blood get slaughtered? Senior said, I do not care what grudges you have with each other. If you want to fight, go fight outside. Moreover, you have broken the floorboards and the seats. You will have to pay for that. Since you are the one who made reservations for the banquet, you will be the one held responsible. Zhang Feng said, you cannot possibly be that unreasonable. We are obviously, Senior said, that is none of my business. The person who made the reservation will be held responsible. Jiang Han laughed. Zhang Feng said, yes, I will pay now. Jiang Han murmured with Yan Rixue, who is this man? Why did Zhang Feng suddenly become so well-mannered? She said, he is the boss of Tienda Inn, Si Wenhua. He is rank 9 Grandmaster. Due to his injuries, he fell to rank 3 Grandmaster realm. However, he is still the strongest person in Piaoxue City. Even my father has to bow to him when he sees him. Jiang Han thought, but why would he help me? If only I can recruit him into the Black Armored Dragon Army. Xing Feng said, consider yourself lucky. I will show you the consequences of messing with the Zhang family soon enough. Jiang Han said, I am so scared. How soon can you show me the consequences, Mr. Zhang? Zhang Feng shouted, let us go. As Lin Yue saw Jiang Han and Yan Rixue smiling at each other, she felt anger, thinking, one day I will get payback from you. Yan Rixue bowed to Senior C as Jiang Han said, thank you for your help. Senior said, there is no need to thank me, we are brothers. Jiang Han asked in confusion, brother? He thought, when did I have such a huge brother? Senior showed a black iron card saying, we are the same, we are both a part of the Bloodblade Alliance. Brothers of the Bloodblade Alliance are everywhere. Jiang Han said, did you sense this and come to help me? I did not think that there would be another alliance member in Piaoxue City. Senior said, yes. I did not think so either. But looking at you now, are you merely in the pulse invigoration realm? You must have a lot of potential to be able to get the black iron badge. Yan Rixue thought, when did Jiang Han? Jiang Han said, no, I was just lucky that I saved someone. That person gave this badge as a token of thanks. Yan Rixue got pissed. Jiang Han thought, this rank 9 Grandmaster only has a black iron badge. Just how powerful is the Bloodblade Alliance? Senior said, I see. Jiang Han said, brother, can I take a look at your injury? Perhaps I can treat you and help you achieve a breakthrough. Senior turned, saying, thank you, but there is no need for that. Jiang Han said, why? You do not believe me? Senior said, I do. There is no need for that. So what if you heal my injury? My brothers will never return. So even if I break through to the realm of Marquis of Martial Arts, I am still powerless in that place. It is better if I continue on like this so I can see my brother sooner. Jiang Han thought, what kind of place could possibly terrify a rank 9 Grandmaster like this? Jiang Han said, I do not know what you have been through, but I do not think that running away will solve anything. If one person's strength is not enough, what about an army's? He bowed to him, saying, I am building an army now, they are all skilled martial arts talents. However, they are missing a chief instructor. If it is possible, I would like you to take up that post. Senior said, that is enough. He walked away. Jiang Han said from behind, if you change your mind, come see me at Yan Mansion within the next 10 days. As the scene changed to the outside, Yan Rixue asked Jiang Han, are you sure that Si Wenhua will come? Jiang Han said, I cannot guarantee he will with the way he is right now. However, in 6 days, he will be here. She asked, why? He said, if you want to know, give me a kiss and I will tell you. She moved her face, saying, keep it to yourself then. Jiang Han said, I will tell you, I will tell you. But next time, if you have any questions, I will need a kiss. She said in anger, next time I will. Jiang Han said, your expression betrays you, darling. Jiang Han said, because in 6 days, Si Wenhua will go witness the battle between the Black Armored Dragon Army and the Black Wind. She asked, the Black Armored Dragon Army? Jiang Han said with a smirk, when that time comes, not only will the Black Armored Dragon Army conquer the Black Wind, but they will conquer Tienda Inn's owner too. As the scene changed to Zhang Mansion, a cup fell on the floor and broke. Mr. Zhang said in a shocked way, what? Hunger is missing? How? As soldiers said, the eldest young master has returned. They placed Jing Heng's body on the floor. Jing Feng bowed and said, I am sorry, father, I could not protect him. As Mr. Zhang saw his younger son's dead body, he screamed, hunger. Lin Yue entered crying, saying, do not blame him. Jiang Han was too despicable. He hid his true strength and killed Brother Heng. Mr. Zhang went to his son's dead body, holding it in his arms, crying, saying, how are the preparations going? Zhang Feng said the Black Wind's 5th Master, 6th Master, and 7th Master have departed along with 3,000 mountain bandits. They will be lying in wait nearby the Yan family army camp. Mr. Zhang in anger said, good. I want the heads of everyone in the Jiang and Yan families. They will pay for taking my son's life. Lin Yue said in anger, the Lin family will do our best to avenge Brother Heng as well. She thought, Yan Rixue, I want you to feel what it is like to be a widow. I, on the other hand, will still be a wife of the Zhang family. Now it is night in the city lord's mansion, where Jiang Han was taking a bath. In the remaining 6 days, Jiang Han cultivated the mystic yellow spell of blessing tirelessly. It circulated through his body and absorbed the spiritual energy of the world around him. Finally, on the 4th day, he broke through to 7th rank. Suddenly, Xiaonger came and said, "You have achieved a breakthrough? And here I thought that you were going to be cultivating until the very last minute." Jiang Han, wearing his bathrobe, said, "No way. If I did not succeed tonight, I would have to rely on you, no matter how reluctant I am to." She asked in confusion, "What do you mean? Is there something I can do to help?" She came in anger and raised her hand, saying, "If there is anything I can do to help, I will do it." Jiang Han went towards Xiaonger saying, "All right. Be sure not to take back your words." And he thought, seriously, "Do you not know what could happen to you?" Xiaonger said, "Do you not trust me?" He said, "I do. Now go do something for me." She said, "Anything?" He said, "Before the battle, send a gift to the Zhang and Lin families."